Warrior Lore. Chapter 53:16. In the restaurant, Zichun and Almai sat opposite each other. Vader and the other two had already returned home. They were not disappointed that they did not succeed this time, as this was within their expectations. In the original plan, they were looking forward to the last time when they reached the 9th stage. Only then would there be a possibility of success. But following Sir Zichun, they had gained a lot, and this gave them more confidence in becoming Dharma souls. Next, he would carefully study the Tao of Spirit designs. So the three of them bade farewell in advance. "Thank you for your help, sir. Let me toast you." Zichun raised the wine cup with both hands. This was the best wine in the restaurant, although the taste was not very good. Almai raised his wine glass and clinked it lightly with Zichun's. "You're welcome. You're from a place under my jurisdiction. If something were to happen to you, it would be a loss of face for me. Helping you is the same as helping me." Although he said so, Zichun must remember this kindness. You have not become a heavenly law, so you are not a real Dharma soul yet. You are just a reserve. Almai said, "When people see a reserve, they will look up because they feel that this is a mysterious and powerful existence with a limitless future. But to us, reserve is not rare. So don't be arrogant and be careful that there is always someone better." Zichun nodded. His principle was that if people did not offend him, he would not offend them. Before you officially become a Dharma soul, the resources you receive are actually limited. You still have to report to the Dharma Soul Alliance. Before that, the Dharma Soul Alliance will not give you any support. Zichun asked in surprise, "Nothing?" Almai nodded. Zichun said, "But I think that Leonard is very rich. He doesn't look like he has limited resources." Almai smiled. "He is different." Zichun's expression changed slightly as he probed, "Is there someone behind him? If there is no one, do you really think that he would dare to do whatever he wants here?" Almai said, "So you must be careful. In the Dharma Soul Alliance, the forces are intricate and complicated, even more so than the Pure Land Alliance." Back then, it was the people behind him who pressured the Pure Land Alliance. Almai obviously already knew that Zichun had been expelled by the Pure Land Alliance. After drinking the wine, Zichun smiled bitterly. "It seems that everywhere is the same." Almai also sighed. "It's always been this way." Zichun asked, "Senior, how can I obtain resources quickly?" Almai looked at Zichun and said, "When you master the art of condensing jade talismans, you won't lack resources." Zichun shook his head. "I want a lot of resources, a lot of them. The income from selling the jade talismans is far from enough." This was probably the only future Dharma soul in history who disdained selling jade talismans for too little resources. "The journey is uncertain, so I can't help you even if I want to." Zichun expressed his gratitude and then left. Looking at Zichun's departing figure, Almai's gaze lingered for a long time. After a while, he finally retracted his gaze and lowered his head to look at the two jugs of wine. "I finally saw something from my ancestor's hometown." His face was full of emotions, and there were even tears in his eyes. "After so many years, I don't know how many people have given up. I didn't expect that I would finally see it. I hope everything will be as my ancestor predicted." In Almai's memory, there was a prophecy. Many years later, a person will come from his hometown and completely change this chaotic and disorderly world. He will be like a bright lamp, illuminating the path under the feet of the lost. That person, is it you? If I don't go with him, he will kill me. Leonard looked at Mars and said reflexively, "No, I won't go even if you beat me to death." Mars said, "This time, only he succeeded. According to the rules, at least two people should go together. If you don't go with him, you will miss the opportunity to report." "It's fine if I miss it. I won't go with Zichun anyway." Leonard shook his head again. "That guy's heart is very, very black. If the two of us go together, he will definitely kill me. My world-extinguishing bell has been snatched away by him. I can't beat him now." Mars said, "Then you just have to wait a few more years. By then, Zichun might have already run away. If you want to take revenge and take back your world-extinguishing bell, you will have to look for him all over the world." "Then what should I do?" Leonard said. "Can't we just chase him out and find someone to kill him?" "Almai is right there. Who dares to do it? You're still afraid of him? Of course I'm not afraid. It's just that he is difficult to deal with. Once the news reaches the top, it will be hard to say. Anyway, if I don't go, he will definitely kill me. What if I promise that he won't kill you? Then I won't go. I hate him. Then forget it. You don't have to take revenge. Zichen waited in this Pure Land for 3 days. Finally, Mars's call came. Zichun followed the person into the depths. The path here was wide and clean. There was not a single person along the way. Zichen's soul power extended. Although the possibility of the other party attacking him here was not high, it was never wrong to be careful. They did not speak along the way and arrived at the hall in the depths. The person left and signaled Zichun to go in by himself. Zichen pushed open the door of the hall. Immediately, an oppressive aura hit him from the front. Mars sat in the hall and looked down at Zichen. Zichen walked in and raised his head to look at Marzu. How dare you? Why don't you kneel after seeing me? Mars snorted coldly, wanting to give Zichen some pressure. Zichen cupped his fists and said, Zichen greet, sir. Naturally, he would not kneel. Mars's eyes flickered with a cold light. Zichen looked at him calmly. The two of them looked at each other. In the main hall, the pressure increased. This lasted for more than 10 breaths of time. Seeing that Zichen still did not bow his head, Mars restrained his aura and his expression eased. You're quite brave. Zichen said, Thank you for your praise, sir. Mars said, I called you here this time because all the reserves have to report to the headquarters. Zichen listened quietly. The other party definitely did not call him here just to say this. However, at least 2 people are needed. Mars looked at Zichen, and this time, you're the only one who passed. Zichen's expression changed slightly, sir. You mean I missed this opportunity? Logically speaking, that's the case. But I helped you find another person. Together, there are 2 of you. Looking at Mars's expression, Zichen's expression changed again. This time, there was a strange look on his face, sir. The person you're talking about, it can't be that idiot Leonard, right? Companions should respect each other. How can you slander each other? Mars had a displeased look on his face, but he also indirectly admitted this matter. For the next journey, you have to support each other. If there's any danger, you have to bear more risks because once one of you has an accident, the other one will also fail. Zichen said in surprise, Could it be that you still want me to protect him? Mars nodded and said, That's right. If Leonard has an accident, you will also lose the qualification. Who asked there to be only 2 of you this time? There was originally a David, but for some reason, he disappeared. When saying this, Mars stared at Zichen, trying to put some pressure on Zichen. However, Zichen did not fall for this trick at all. He said regretfully, That's indeed a pity. In that case, sir, you can rest assured. I will definitely protect that idiot Leonard and smoothly reach the headquarters. Zichen's mouth had a trace of a smile. In the Dharma Soul Alliance, there are naturally Dharma Souls. Don't be sarcastic with your grandpa here. Just tell me what benefits there are when we get there. The benefits are resources, unknown arrays, and opportunities to improve soul power. But before that, you have to participate in an assessment. Zichen was stunned. Assessment? Your grandpa has already passed the trial and become a reserve soldier. Why do I still have to participate in the assessment? Becoming a reserve soldier is just the basic condition. Only by reaching the heavenly soul realm can one be considered a true Dharma soul. Leonard had already made up his mind to take revenge when he reached the destination. He ignored Zichen's rudeness. But before that, there needs to be a test to determine the strength of the reserve soldiers. Then, there will be arrangements. What benefits are there after passing? According to the ranking, there will be different rewards. There are pills and rare arrays. What's the use of pills? Zichen hadn't seen many pills since he came to this world. Their effects weren't that great. After all, in this place, even survival was a problem. Therefore, the number of pills was relatively small. The products of a Dharma soul are naturally of high quality. Leonard said, If you really get a pill, then you should be secretly happy because it's a pill that can allow a Dharma annihilation to advance to a heavenly soul realm. Zichen's eyes lit up when he heard that. Although he was only in the 6th stage now, it didn't stop him from looking forward to the heavenly soul realm. If he got such a pill, then he wouldn't have any worries. Looking at Zichen's expression, Leonard's eyes flashed with disdain. This country bumpkin still wants to get a pill as a reward? He's dreaming. Are you secretly scolding me in your heart? Zichen looked at Leonard. No, it's best if you don't. Otherwise, I'll slap your mouth. Zichen naturally wouldn't be polite to Leonard. Get Grandpa a pot of wine. I don't have it. If you don't have it, can't you go to the nearby Pure Land to buy it? Get me a pot of wine. Grandpa wants to rinse his mouth. This was the schedule for the journey ahead. Facing Zichen's oppression, Leonard dared to be angry but didn't dare to say anything. The two of them passed by a continuous mountain range, and Zichen subconsciously extended his soul power. The terrain here was complicated, and some were man-made. A great battle should have broken out many years ago. Grandson, we'll rest here tonight. Zichen looked at the sky, then turned around and walked towards the mountain range. Leonard glanced at Zichen with a fierce gaze. No matter how angry he was in his heart, he could only do as he was told at this moment. Before reaching their destination, he didn't dare to fall out with Zichen. Zichen came to the peak of a mountain range and looked around. The environment here was a little strange. But what was wrong, Zichen couldn't tell. It was just a feeling. He suddenly turned his head and looked to the side. He didn't find anything unusual, but just now, he felt that there seemed to be a pair of eyes staring at him in the dark. Is it an illusion? Zichen advanced along the undulating mountain range. During this period, his soul power spread out and carefully probed. This place seemed to be filled with a strange fluctuation. There seemed to be someone in the dark. Zichen turned his head again, but he still didn't find anything. He frowned. After walking through a few more mountains, Zichen didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, so he turned back. From afar, Zichen shouted, "Grandson, why aren't you getting wine for your grandfather?" Leonard, who had just relaxed, sighed helplessly. He could only take out a pot of wine and throw it far away. Damn it, can't you give it to me? What if it breaks? Zichen cursed, useless dog. He stretched out his hand and wanted to catch the wine pot. Swish! Suddenly, a person appeared out of thin air and went straight to the wine pot. The wine pot was snatched away, and the person landed steadily. It was a young man. He held the wine pot in his hand and turned to look at Zichen. You're so overbearing. Zichen looked at him. Before the other party appeared, he didn't sense anything unusual, even though his soul power spread out and he was vigilant. Who are you? Zichen asked in a deep voice. The concealment method of the young man in front of him gave him a lot of pressure. The young man opened the wine pot and took a sip, saying, I'm your grandfather. Zichen narrowed his eyes. Do you want to die? The young man laughed. Why are you angry? Then why are you treating your companions like this? Companions? Zichen was slightly startled. Then he looked at Leonard, who was not far away. Were the two of them considered companions? The young man said again, If I'm not wrong, the two of you should be the reserves of the Soul Spell Alliance, right? That's right. Zichen was surprised that the other party could guess his purpose. Then your companions. You actually treat your companions like slaves. The young man sneered, So, what's wrong with me saying that I'm your grandfather? People like you who bully the weak and fear the strong should be targeted like this. When Zichen heard this, he laughed instead of being angry. He did not know where this idiot came from, but he did not expect him to be so sympathetic. Grandson, Grandpa finished my wine. Give Grandpa another pot, otherwise, don't blame Grandpa for being impolite. The young man threw the empty wine bottle and then looked at Zichen provocatively. Leonard also laughed. He thought that he would be bullied all the way, but he did not expect someone to stand up for him. From the looks of it, he was obviously standing up for him. He looked at the young man from head to toe, hoping that the young man would be stronger. It would be best if he could kill Zichen after both sides were injured. In that case, he could kill the young man and take the spoils of war. Thus, Leonard took a step back and waited for both sides to be injured. Although I don't know which idiot you are, since you're here looking for trouble, don't blame me for being impolite. With that, Zichen stepped forward. Humph! The young man laughed in disdain and stomped his foot on the ground. Buzz! The ground trembled, and light flew out from the ground. turning into a light wall. The light wall emitted an earthy yellow light, as if countless earth and stones were gathered together. Leonard, who was watching the show, immediately changed his expression when he saw this scene. He widened his eyes in shock. Zichen's expression did not change at all as he punched out. Golden light flashed and burst out with an intense light. The punch smashed on the light wall, and the mountain under Zichen's feet began to tremble. It was as if this punch had shaken the foundation of the mountain. Boom! Cracks began to appear on the light wall. What? The young man, who was originally full of confidence, immediately had a look of shock on his face when he saw this scene. He tapped his foot and quickly retreated. The next moment, the light wall shattered. A huge crack also appeared on the mountain under his feet, as if it was cut open by a sword. Zichen broke the light wall with one punch. His figure flashed and quickly approached the young man, and a second punch was thrown down. Buzz! A second light wall appeared in front of the young man. The effect of the light wall this time was slightly weaker than before. Zichen shattered it with another punch. A second crack appeared on the mountain. Countless pieces of gravel rolled down. The young man retreated again and again. The light walls in front of him appeared one by one, but their defensive power was getting weaker and weaker. Zichen's punches were getting fiercer and fiercer. At this moment, the mountain under their feet was already riddled with holes and would be flattened at any time. The strange thing was that the two of them did not channel their power into their feet from the beginning to the end. Be careful. He has the core of real body. Seeing this, Leonard immediately reminded, "Get away from him. Why didn't you say so earlier?" The young man let out a strange cry and was about to leave the mountain. As long as he reached another mountain, he was confident that he could escape. Unfortunately, Zichen did not give him the chance. After the powerful punch broke the light wall, the punch did not slow down and approached the young man. The golden light of the punch was like the sun in the sky. The light was dazzling and terrifying. Chapter 53:18. The fist that was heading for the young man's head changed direction and landed on his chest. Boom! The young man flew backward, leaving a trail of blood in the air. Before meeting Almai, Zichen didn't know what a Dragon Master was. He only knew that it was very rare, like finding a needle in a haystack. He didn't expect to meet such a rare existence. Zichen looked at the young man. His eyes were filled with doubt and curiosity. Beside him, Luo's expression changed slightly, but it wasn't big. When he saw the other party attack, he guessed the other party's identity. "Sir, I'm really a Dragon Master. I came here to find an opportunity and coincidentally saw you bullying your companions. That's why I attacked." He didn't bother to wipe the blood at the corner of his mouth and hurriedly explained. Looking at the other party's silly appearance, he didn't seem to be a liar. Zichen said, "Show me some of your moves." Did he think that the great Dragon Master was a clown? Shi Feng muttered in his heart, but he didn't dare to refuse. He looked around. Right here. This mountain was already full of holes and could collapse at any time. Zichen looked at him. "Then where do you want it to be?" Shi Feng pointed in the distance. "How about there?" He pointed to the open space under the mountain. "Okay." Zichen was very curious about the profession of a dragon seeker, so he immediately nodded his head. Not far away, a hint of mockery flashed across Luo's mouth, and there was also a hint of gloating in his eyes. "Sir, how should I address you?" Shi Feng asked as they went down the mountain. "Zichen, brother, how should I address you?" Shi Feng looked at Luo again. Luo cupped his fists at Shi Feng and said, "I'm Luo. How should I address you?" Shi Feng smiled. "I'm Shi Feng. I'm a warm-hearted person. The thing that I hate the most in my life is to bully the kind." At this point, he seemed to feel that something was wrong and hurriedly said to Zichen, "Of course, this has nothing to do with you, sir. I think this is how the two of you get along." Zichen smiled faintly and didn't explain. After all, they were strangers. There was no need to explain in detail. "Brother Leonard, why are there only two of you going to the Dharma Spirit Alliance?" Shi Feng acted as if they were familiar with each other. "If I remember correctly, magic souls aren't that rare, right?" When Leonard heard this, he smiled bitterly and said, "To tell you the truth, we encountered some accidents in this test." "Accident? What accident?" Shi Feng asked curiously. Luo inadvertently glanced at Zichun. Some people are in trouble. With Shifeng's intelligence, he immediately understood the meaning behind this gaze. He smiled slightly and said, "So that's how it is." Zichun did not respond to their conversation. He was only curious about the dragon-seeking master. After seeing his abilities, he would naturally let him leave. The three of them walked down the mountain. Shifeng and Zichun walked in front while Leo followed behind them. Along the way, Shifeng and Zichun barely spoke at all. Instead, they kept calling each other brothers. When they reached the spacious area, Leo stopped far away and did not go forward. Shifeng also stopped. He turned around and looked at Zichun. "Sir, please step back a little." Zichun obeyed and stepped back 2 feet. "Is that okay?" At this moment, the two of them were about 5 feet apart. Shifeng was very satisfied with this distance. He nodded and said, "Yes, it's okay. Let's begin." As soon as he finished speaking, Shifeng's eyes suddenly turned cold and indifferent. He looked at Zichun and said, "Demon, die." He stomped his foot. Wong. The ground shook slightly. Following that, several air currents appeared. Like agile snakes, they quickly wrapped around Zichun. In the blink of an eye, Zichun was bound by layers of air currents. "Brother Leonard, this person has done many evil deeds. We can't let him live. Let's join hands and kill him." After trapping Zichun, Shifeng shouted loudly. Leonard stood in the distance and did not take action. At this moment, he was just a bystander. It would be best if both of them were injured. He could take advantage of this situation. If not, he would not interfere. "I asked you to demonstrate, but you want to kill. That's not interesting." Zichun's indifferent voice sounded. Golden light surrounded his body, and the core of his power instantly erupted. Boom. In an instant, the air currents that wrapped around him collapsed. Zichun, who had escaped, said, "Is this the dragon-seeking master's method?" Shifeng looked at Zichun with a hint of mockery. "This is just the beginning." 8 Dragons Seal. On the ground, light appeared again. This time, it directly turned into 8 yellow true dragons and went straight for Zichun. "That's it." Zichun took a step forward, and the ground suddenly shook. As the golden light flashed, he punched out. Like the explosion of thunder, 8 sounds rang out in succession. After the sound, the 8 true dragons collapsed. "Oomph!" Shifeng snorted coldly. The 8 true dragons recovered and appeared in 8 directions around Zichun. Then, the true dragons breathed out and formed a mysterious force. Zichun felt that his body's movements seemed to have become sluggish, and his consciousness's reaction was not as good as before. The 8 dragons formed a formation. However, this formation did not have any runes. It was completely formed by the momentum of heaven and earth. In the distance, looking at Zichun, whose reaction was much slower, Leonard sighed. As expected of a dragon-seeking master, this kind of momentum of heaven and earth can be easily grasped by him. Zichun was already trapped by the momentum of heaven and earth. At this moment, it was as if he was fighting against heaven and earth. In his sea of consciousness, soul power surged and spread out layer by layer like a tide. He wanted to forcefully expel the mysterious force that invaded his sea of consciousness. At the same time, Zichun's heart also burst out with a dazzling light. His heart began to beat violently like a drum, transmitting pure power to all parts of his body. Golden light flickered, and Zichun seemed to be wearing a layer of golden armor. He forcibly pushed the power of heaven and earth that had invaded his body out of his body. The abnormality in his body disappeared, but the abnormality in his surroundings was still there. It was like a cage of heaven and earth, trapping him inside. Zichun punched down. Boom. Golden light flickered, and the 8 dragons trembled. A hint of surprise flashed in Shifeng's eyes. "I didn't expect that your cultivation realm is not high, but your strength is actually so strong. Even the momentum of heaven and earth can't suppress you." Zichun punched down again. The 8 dragon seal was still trembling, but it was not broken. Shifeng smiled and said, "I know that you're a reserved Dharma soul, and your strongest technique is the Dharma soul Tao. Unfortunately, under the suppression of the momentum of heaven and earth, you have no chance to show it at all. Therefore, It's impossible for you to break the momentum of heaven and earth with your current strength. His eyes gradually turned cold. Only death awaits an existence like you. I believe that the Dharma Soul Alliance will definitely not blame me for killing an evil person like you. Zichun, who was already a little angry in his heart, became even angrier after hearing Shifeng's sarcastic words. Good boy, just you wait for Grandpa. As soon as his words fell, Zichun's aura suddenly changed. As if it had gone berserk, it rose several times. One punch. It was still one punch, but the power rose several levels. Because this was an immortal punch. Boom. The 8-dragon seal was broken by one punch. With Zichun as the center, the ground within 1,000 feet radius cracked, and a huge, deep pit appeared, with smoke and dust billowing. How is this possible? Seeing this, Shifeng let out a cry of surprise, then turned around and ran. This is the momentum of heaven and earth. How can a mere 6th-level Dharma Annihilation Realm break it? Wanna leave? Zichun's indifferent voice suddenly sounded from behind Shifeng. A hint of surprise flashed in Shifeng's eyes. He took a few steps forward, and his body gradually became illusory, then disappeared. Golden Buddha Fire Lotus. Zichun was furious. Forming a seal with both hands, a formation that enveloped a radius of 5,000 feet appeared. Lan was also within this range. Seeing that the situation was not good, he immediately retreated. Zichun had no intention to deal with Lan, allowing him to escape. His soul power spread all around, but Shifeng seemed to have disappeared into thin air without any trace. This kind of concealment method was very brilliant. Zichun's eyes flickered with a cold light. Hiding? Let me see where you can hide. He formed a seal with both hands again, and the golden Buddha in the sky suddenly chanted a Buddha name. Then, the fire lotus below him trembled, and countless flames poured down. This was an indiscriminate attack. Other than Zichun, who was not affected, within a radius of 5,000 feet, everything was enveloped by flames. Zichun did not believe that Shifeng, who was hiding, could ignore his attack. The next moment, he noticed the abnormality. His figure immediately disappeared. Shifeng hid in the flames, and at this moment, his face was filled with fear. He did not expect this 6th-level Dharma Annihilation Realm to be so powerful. At this moment, he only hoped that the other party would not find him so quickly. As long as he escaped the range of this huge pit, then he would have the ability to escape. As for resisting, he obviously did not dare to. At least, he did not dare to for the time being. At this moment, the flames in front of him surged, and a shining palm passed through the flames. Before Shifeng could dodge, his neck was directly grabbed. The next moment, his figure appeared. The surrounding flames also disappeared at this moment. Shifeng saw a pair of demonic eyes, and he immediately said in fear, "My lord, spare me. I was just joking with you." "You want to kill me? Is that a joke?" Zichun glanced at him indifferently. Shifeng said in fear, "My lord, I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. As long as you spare me, I will do anything you want me to do in the future." "You think I will spare you?" Zichun narrowed his eyes, and killing intent appeared. Shifeng was completely frightened, and he was already somewhat incoherent, as if he had never encountered such a situation before. Lan stood in the distance, watching with amusement. Zichun swung his hand, and Shifeng was sent flying, and then he kept coughing. "Don't meddle in other people's business next time," Zichun said coldly. "If you are not careful, you might lose your life." I won't anymore." After Shifeng got up, he hurriedly shook his head and waved his hands. He was really scared. "Get lost." Shifeng felt as if he had been pardoned, and he quickly fled. However, after fleeing for 100 feet, he cupped his fists in Lan's direction with an apologetic expression. Zichun was so angry that he almost laughed. Good fellow, he was still feeling guilty for not helping that guy successfully fight for justice. But he is an interesting person. Zichun did not encounter many people like this since he came to this world. Most of them were like Lan. "Hurry up and get lost," Zichun shouted again. Shifeng hurriedly fled. There were no other incidents along the way, and Shifeng did not return after leaving. Chapter 53:19. After traveling for more than a month, the two of them arrived at the Mana Spirit Alliance. When he saw the Alliance's encampment, Zichun was shocked. Unlike other cities, it was all in the Pure Land. If one wanted to see it, they had to enter the Pure Land first. The current Mana Spirit Alliance was built on the wasteland. A huge city stood there. From afar, it looked like a ferocious beast. The surface of the towering city wall was engraved with countless arrays that protected the city wall. Under the city, there was also a huge array that supported the city. Just the combination of these spirit arrays was an extremely huge project. The spirit design outside the city was like a pure land, isolating the city from the outside world. You're stunned? Let me tell you, this is just the standard of the Mana Spirit Alliance. Leo walked forward. All the encampments of the Mana Spirit Alliance are built on the wasteland. They consume countless resources and countless arrays. It's a spectacular sight. Of course, this is called a foundation. Luo glanced at Zichun and said sarcastically, "You're just a country bumpkin who hasn't seen much of the world. It's only natural for you to have such a reaction. Do you want to die?" Zichun looked at Leo. Leo, who did not dare to resist Zichun along the way, suddenly jumped up. "Who the F***ck are you talking to? Did I give you face? Let me tell you, you were able to come here without encountering any danger. It has nothing to do with luck. It's because my men have already cleared all obstacles." "Idiot, you don't know how lucky you are. You even think you're infallible." A seal appeared in Leo's hand. He crushed it. It should be some kind of signal. "So, you should be thanking me, your grandfather, and not pointing fingers here." After coming here, Leo no longer had any worries. His temper naturally rose. F***ck, I've tolerated you all the way. What kind of dog is this? How dare you be arrogant in front of me? Zichun clenched his fist. His eyes turned cold. Leo said in disdain, "Are you trying to scare your grandfather? Let me tell you, this place is your grandfather's home. If you dare to attack me, I'll make you lie down and become a dead man." Someone walked out of the city. There were a total of 8 people who were heading in this direction. Leonard. Before they even got close, they were already shouting enthusiastically. Leonard waved at them with a smug smile on his face. The crowd approached and sized up Zichun. One of them asked, "Who is he? Is he your friend?" "Friends?" Luaneo sneered. "What kind of person do you think I, Luaneo, would have such a country bumpkin friend?" He looked at Zichun again. "See, this is my home ground. If you can follow me and wag your tail like a dog on the way here, maybe I can give you a bite to eat when we get here. But you don't know what's good for you, so don't blame me for being impolite." When everyone heard this, they immediately rubbed their palms together. "Is this a fight? Haha, I like it so much. It's been a long time since I've ravaged someone. I wonder if this guy can take a beating. Haha, let me exchange a few moves with him." The crowd burst into laughter, looking at Zichun with extremely cold eyes. "It seems that all of you want to die." A cold light flickered in Zichun's eyes. However, just as he was about to make a move, bang! Luoeo kicked out. Caught off guard, Zichun was sent flying 30 feet away. He fell to the ground and actually couldn't get up immediately. "Dog, I won't kill you today, because the following small test might be very boring, so I can only find some fun from you." Leonard smiled coldly. "Just wait and see. Yes, there's going to be fun next." The crowd laughed loudly and left with Leonard. Zichun stood up. He actually had a chance to counterattack Leonard's kick just now, but just as he was about to make a move, he felt a threat from Heaven Law. He looked to the side and saw a middle-aged man standing in the distance. The two of them looked at each other. The middle-aged man made a throat-slitting gesture at Zichun and then turned to leave. Zichun patted the dust off his body. He had expected this scene long ago, but he didn't expect Leonard to be so unscrupulous. "Next, I have to plan properly." Zichun thought to himself, "It's time to break through this realm. Level 6 of the Law Destruction realm is still a bit low. These people are nothing to be afraid of, but that Heaven Law is very troublesome." After a while, Zichun also entered the city. After Leonard entered, he went to the Soul Mage Alliance's base to register. The rest of his friends followed beside him. At the entrance, Leonard met a familiar person and shouted, "Brother!" That person was Shifeng. Shifeng raised his head and was stunned when he saw Leonard. "Haha, it's really you." Leo laughed heartily as he approached Shifeng and gave him a hug. The others were a little surprised. "Let me introduce you. Shifeng is my brother. He's a warm-hearted person who will help when he sees injustice." Leonard introduced, "Shifeng, these are my brothers. We're all on the same side." "Are you alone?" Shifeng looked at Leonard. "You want to ask about Zichen, right? That idiot was taught a lesson by me at the entrance. When I left, I kicked him, but he didn't dare to resist. He was as timid as a dog." Leonard said disdainfully, "That was just an appetizer. That grandson, he'll suffer later." Shifeng was a little puzzled. The difference between Leonard and before was too big. Leonard patted Shifeng's shoulder and said, "Don't be surprised. That grandson Zichen is vicious and merciless. That time in the trial, he killed all my people. Otherwise, how could I be on the same side as him?" Shifeng felt that something was wrong. "Third, you helped me register. Shifeng, let's go drink. I'm grateful for your help." Leonard took out his qualification token and threw it to the person next to him. Then, he hooked his arm around Shifeng's neck and said, "I know a restaurant that tastes good. I haven't eaten for many years." "Good. We can also discuss how to make Zichen live a life worse than death. By the way, we're going to participate in a small trial. You should know, right? I can arrange for you to enter. At that time, we can torture that grandson Zichen." After Zichen entered the city, he asked passersby about the location of the Alliance. When he arrived at the Alliance's encampment, he took out his identity token and started to register. During this time, no one looked at him strangely. Obviously, they didn't know his identity. They were all doing things according to the rules. After going through several procedures, it took about an hour for everything to be settled. The person in charge told him that the trial would only start after 10 days. During this period, he had to take care of himself, and the Alliance wouldn't care. Zichen did a quick calculation. 10 days should be enough for him to break through. He found a relatively remote inn and stayed there. After that, he didn't go out and cultivated every day. Shifeng followed Leonard to the restaurant. However, the more they interacted, the more Shifeng felt that something was wrong. However, Leonard was too hospitable and he couldn't refuse. In the blink of an eye, 7 days passed. On this day, a powerful aura suddenly came from Zichen's room. He broke through again. The aura disappeared as quickly as it appeared. The array in the room isolated this fluctuation. 2 hours later, Zichen walked out of the room. After breaking through, his combat strength increased. He was in an extremely good mood. Now, he could take some time to stroll around the city. There were many shops here. They sold things needed by Dharma souls, mostly jade talismans. Zichen followed the waiter's instructions and came to a shop on the street. This shop was very small and inconspicuous. In the words of the waiter, the shop wasn't big, but the price was very affordable. Although the shop owner wasn't easy to get along with, he never cheated outsiders. Zichen walked into the store, and sure enough, he saw an old man sitting there. Seeing him enter, he didn't take the initiative to greet him. Zichen's gaze swept across the jade talismans one by one, sensing the soul power fluctuations within. Apart from the jade talismans, he also discovered some arrays. He was a little surprised. He didn't expect that there were arrays for sale here. However, the price was not cheap. At the very least, it was a level 8 destruction magic crystal. Some even required a heaven magic crystal. Zichen looked around and didn't find anything particularly rare. He walked in front of the old man. The old man raised his head and glanced at Zichen. He naturally noticed this young man who only looked but had no intention of buying. "Old man, do you accept jade talismans here?" "Of course, but if the grade is very low, it's better not to take it out and embarrass yourself," the old man said indifferently. Hearing this, Zichen took out 2 jade talismans. "Old man, help me take a look. I want this." The old man took the 2 jade talismans. His originally indifferent expression changed slightly in the next moment. "The grade is not bad. Each is worth a level 6 destruction magic crystal." This price was somewhat out of Zichen's expectations. This was because one was an escape jade talisman and the other was a golden Buddha fire lotus. With his knowledge, it was already not bad if they were worth a level 2 destruction magic crystal. Are you selling? Seeing Zichun in a daze, the old man was a little impatient. Yes, of course. I have more here. As Zichun spoke, he took out another pile. This number made the old man's expression change again. He originally thought that the other party wouldn't have many, but he didn't expect to have so many. Senior, do you want them? This time, it was Zichin's turn to ask. The old man couldn't help but ask, did you condense all of these? Zichun nodded. Yes, I want all of them. The old man swept his soul power over them. There was almost no difference in the grade of these things. Old man, I want 1,000 blank jade talismans. They have to be at the level of destruction. The price will be calculated together, Zichun said. Back then, Vader had told Zichun that jade talismans also had grades. They were divided according to one's realm. According to Zichin's current realm and strength, a destruction magic jade talisman was just right. As for a heaven magic jade talisman, although he could use it, it was a complete waste. The old man counted all the gains and finally gave Zichin 10 level 8 destruction magic crystals. The exchange rate between each grade was 1 to 10. If there are any more jade talismans for sale, you can bring them over. Before Zichin left, the old man took the initiative to speak. Zichun nodded. Walking out of the store, Zichun looked into the distance. Next, it was time to walk around. Oh, I was wondering who it was. So it's a dog blocking the way. Chapter 53:20. Just by hearing the voice, one could tell who it was. Zichun furrowed his brows. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Dog blocking the way. Long time no see. Leonard moved forward, and his companions spread out in all directions. Shurfeng was among the crowd. When he saw Zichun again, his expression was filled with surprise. I thought you'd been scared away long ago. I didn't expect you to still be here. Leonard approached and sized up Zichun. You're still in the mood to stroll around? You're King living a carefree life here? What do you want? Zichun looked at Leonard. What do I want? Leonard first smiled, then his eyes turned cold. I want to King you. Grandson, don't you know how many of my men you've killed? How did you treat your grandfather along the way? Didn't you expect this day to come? Zichun said indifferently, I don't know what you're talking about. CK. Are you trying to act dumb in front of your grandfather? Leonard was furious. Believe it or not, I'll slap you to death. Leonard, is this the little B** starred you were talking about? He looks quite arrogant. Why don't you let me test how capable this guy is? The others also laughed. Zichun chose to remain silent. Dog, weren't you quite arrogant on the road? Why are you afraid now? Leonard said in disdain. So, you're also a coward. Zichun said, I'm not afraid of you. I'm just following the rules here. Rules? I'm the rule here. Leonard shouted coldly. So now, I want you to die. As his voice fell, Luanao raised his fist and smashed a punch towards Zichun. Zichun took 2 steps back and avoided the punch. Dog, you still dare to dodge? Everyone, attack together. Leonard waved his hand, and everyone rushed forward. Then, they started to punch and kick Zichun. Zichun continued to dodge and shouted, This is Soul Mage Alliance. You guys are fighting on the street. Do you still have any rules? Leonard flashed forward. I've already told you. I'm the rule here. What? Do you really think you can do whatever you want here? Zichun raised his voice again. Leo said disdainfully, I know very well what you're planning. But what's the use of opening your eyes wide and taking a good look? Zichun looked around and saw that there was no one on either side of the road. At this moment, the shops were all closed. Only the store beside Zichun was still open, but the old man didn't come out to join in the fun. Looks like Leo's backer is indeed not weak. While dodging, Zichun noticed a pattern. These people seemed to be attacking fiercely, but they didn't use their own energy. This was clearly not benevolence. It should be some kind of restriction. Therefore, at this moment, their movements were like those of a street brawl. There was no order, only random punches. Gentlemen, if you continue to cause trouble, don't blame me for being impolite. After discovering this pattern, Zichen's eyes turned cold. It seemed that they were still afraid of him. Idiot, if you have the ability, then do it. Luo laughed disdainfully. Feng continued to stand in the distance. He was the only witness here. At this moment, his expression was extremely complicated. I've tolerated you for so long. I thought that you bunch of idiots would know when to stop, but I didn't expect you to become even worse. Zichen's attitude changed immediately. Since you choose to be shameless, then don't blame me for not giving you any face. Slap. As soon as his voice fell, Zichen blocked Leo's fist. His palm grabbed the opponent's wrist. The moment they looked at each other, Zichen slapped down. Slap. A crisp sound rang again, and Leo's body rolled out. During this time, two teeth were mixed in. He didn't use his own energy, but with the true body core, his physical body was extremely strong. It was too easy for him to beat Leo. Then, Zichen blocked a kick from the side. At the same time, he stretched out his fist and punched the other person's lower abdomen. The other person's body immediately bent like a cooked shrimp. At the next moment, Zichen sent him flying with another uppercut. Bang, 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 bang. After Zichen's counterattack, the situation immediately reversed. Zichen, who had mastered too many fighting techniques, was not afraid of them at all. In just a short moment, the others wailed and fell down. Feng stood there, completely dumbfounded by what he saw. From the beginning to the end, Zichen didn't use the slightest bit of his strength. Zichen stood there indifferently, looking down at the others. I've given you face, so you all have to bear it. Don't be so shameless. Everyone was angry. However, in front of Zichen, if they didn't use their own strength, they couldn't fight back at all. After a few more kicks, they were sent flying one after another. Trash, you dare to scheme against me with just the likes of you? A hint of disdain flashed across the corner of Zichen's mouth. They wanted to use the rules to trick him, but they didn't know that they were asking for trouble at this moment. Leo felt that he had suffered a great humiliation and roared, Zichen, I want you dead. I want you dead. Justin, activate the array and kill him. The last sound was a roar. The sky that Zichen was in suddenly began to tremble. A magic array was forcefully activated, and the seal of the magic array gathered in the sky. This is the Great City Barrier Array. Feng, who was watching the battle from the side, suddenly exclaimed with disbelief on his face. This Leo could even activate the Great City Barrier Array. How much power did he have? Zichen also felt a powerful aura locking onto him. Boom! A thunderbolt fell from the sky and went straight for Zichen. Zichen's expression was solemn, and he didn't dare to be careless at all. He mobilized his own energy and formed a shield above his head. If he didn't use his own strength at this moment, it would be purely courting death. In the face of this thunderbolt, Zichen's shield didn't play any role. With a boom, the shield shattered, and the power of the thunderbolt fell on his head. Disperse. At this moment, Zichen finished accumulating power and punched upward. The fist collided with the thunderbolt, and a violent boom erupted. The power of the thunderbolt dissipated. Zichen blocked the attack of the Great City Barrier Array. Haha, you used your energy. You broke the rules. You're dead meat. Seeing this, Luo laughed proudly. Get lost. Zichen glanced at Leo disdainfully, then focused on the sky. In this situation, if he didn't use his power, he would die. Obviously, it was the other party who broke the rules first. In the sky, a few more magic arrays appeared. It should be controlled by someone, slowly reviving it. Boom! The second thunderbolt fell, and its power was stronger than the previous one. I don't believe that you can be lawless here. Zichen's body flickered with golden light. He gritted his teeth and soared into the sky. He didn't protect, but directly crashed into it. Infinite golden light shone, and the core power erupted. Like the sun rising in the sky, a resplendent punch collided with the thunderbolt. Boom! The thunderbolt exploded in the sky, and countless airflows scattered away. A deafening sound immediately spread throughout the entire city. For a moment, many people looked sideways, and some people came in this direction. It's over. You're completely finished this time, Leo whispered, his face full of joy. You dare to resist the array. Even if the heavens come, they won't be able to save you. In the sky, the magic array became stronger and stronger, and the terrifying pressure almost sealed this place. Leo and the others retreated in horror. Even if they weren't specifically targeted, they still felt extremely uncomfortable. The door of the small shop was still open. The old man still didn't come out to join in the fun. Zichun descended from the sky. He looked up, and his eyes became colder and colder. At this moment, the third attack came down mightily. I don't believe that you can do whatever you want. Immortal Fist. Zichun stood on the ground and punched towards the sky. At this moment, he was completely angry. The golden fist light rose into the sky, carrying a vast and ancient aura, and rushed towards the thunderbolt. In an instant, the thunderbolt shattered. The immortal fist light continued to rise into the sky and collided with the great city barrier array. Boom! Like a golden sun, it exploded in the sky, and a golden ripple swept out mightily. Wherever the ripple passed, the great city barrier array collapsed, and the pressure of heaven and earth dissipated. What? When Leo and the others saw this, their faces were filled with shock, and they looked at the sky in disbelief. The great city barrier array was shattered by a single punch. At the entrance of the small shop, the old man had appeared out of nowhere. Looking at the golden ripple in the sky, there was a strange look in his eyes. What happened? An indifferent voice came from afar. Justin, why did you activate the great city barrier array? This was Zichun's goal, to blow things up completely. Someone violated the rules, so I used the array to kill him. The array that had just disappeared appeared again, but this time, whether it was the size or power, it couldn't be compared to before. Kid, you violated the Alliance's rules. Today, I will use the great city barrier array to kill you. An indifferent voice came from the sky. Are you blind? Zichun looked up at the sky and roared. Don't you have eyes? Are you sure I violated the Alliance's rules? Of course you violated the rules. We can all bear witness. Leo and the others sneered. Boom. The array finished accumulating power, and the fourth thunderbolt descended from the sky. A dazzling light flashed across the sky, and the power of this thunderbolt was several times stronger than the previous one. Even the immortal punch couldn't resolve it at this moment. Zichun could only defend. Layers of protection appeared from the sky, blocking above Zichun's head. In the blink of an eye, nearly 100 protective arrays appeared. Many people had a strange look on their faces. This speed was a bit too fast. But in front of this destructive thunderbolt, these protective arrays were useless. Almost 100 thunderbolts were destroyed in an instant. Then, the thunderbolt's power didn't decrease as it fell on Zichun. Someone exclaimed. Seeing that Zichun was about to die in the hands of the thunderbolt, a golden light suddenly appeared. The thunderbolt was blocked by the golden light. A clanging sound erupted between heaven and earth. It was crisp and loud. It was the World Annihilation Bell. Zichun took it out at the critical moment to block this attack. That's the World Annihilation Bell. Seeing this, the others exclaimed, feeling incredulous. It's just an imitation, someone said. If it was the real thing, it wouldn't be this powerful. The World Annihilation Bell blocked all the thunderbolts. Under the World Annihilation Bell, Zichun said indifferently, in this land of the Alliance, is there no place to reason? If you want to reason, go talk to the Great City Barrier Array. As the voice sounded again, the Great City Barrier Array was completely revived. The entire city was covered by the array. Haha, you have angered the array spirit, and the Great City Barrier Array is fully revived. Just wait to be obliterated. Justin laughed proudly. At that moment, everyone in the city felt boundless pressure. Since the construction of this city, the number of times the Great City Barrier Array was fully revived was extremely limited. With such a level of protection, not to mention killing a single person, it could even destroy an entire city of people with ease. After the Great City Barrier Array was revived, 3/4 of its light slowly faded. Only 1/4 was lit. Then, the Great City Barrier Array released an attack that only had 1/4 of its power. Heaven and earth were bright white. It seemed that only this light of destruction was left. It went straight for Zichun. Zichen's eyes were also bright white. Even the heavenly law couldn't withstand such a terrifying attack, let alone him. His mind was blank. Chapter 53:21. In the history of the Mage-Spirit Alliance, it was extremely rare for the Great City Barrier Array to fully recover. At this moment, even if only a quarter of its power was displayed, it still made everyone feel suffocated. That power that descended from the sky was unstoppable. Most people did not know what was going on. Apart from being shocked, they were also astonished. Luoao had a smug smile on his face. Zichun was definitely going to die this time. However, this was still a little out of his expectations. In the original plan, he was going to teach Zichen a lesson and completely humiliate him before killing him in the trial ground. He did not expect that the array would recover and he would die. At this moment, no one thought that Zichun could survive. Even Zichen himself. This was the biggest crisis he had encountered since coming to this world. Who would have thought that the array of a city would be so unreasonable? The old man at the entrance of the store frowned, as if he was thinking about something. The world was bright white, and everyone lost their hearing. Next, there seemed to be a deafening roar. But that did not happen. The light suddenly faded a little, and everyone's vision recovered. Then, they saw a shocking scene. That terrifying attack did not land on Zichen's body. Instead, it floated above Zichen's head. There seemed to be an invisible barrier between the two, separating them. Zichun was also stunned. This was not the doing of the world annihilation bell above his head. It was this attack that chose to stop on its own. Just as he was extremely surprised, he saw a ray of light fly out from above like a silk thread, heading straight for Zichen. Swoosh! This energy thread entered Zichen's body. The puzzled Zichen suddenly widened his eyes, because this was an extremely pure energy. After entering his body, it dissipated and replenished his body. This was not a danger at all, but an opportunity. What's going on? Zichun was very surprised and puzzled. Previously, it was a scene of life and death. Why did it suddenly change? The second energy also broke down and entered Zichen's body. This time, it proved that this was not an illusion. This is impossible. Luoao shouted. How could this be? He noticed that something was wrong. Justin also appeared. He stood in the air and questioned in dissatisfaction. Since the array spirit has awakened, why didn't you kill this person who broke the rules? Why are you still helping him? He raised his head to look at the array and shouted, Array spirit, I'm one of the people in charge of the array. This person ignored the Alliance's rules and forcefully used energy. We should kill him. As soon as he said that, the array spirit array spirit array spirit array spirit. Another ray of light appeared. Justin laughed. Yes, we should kill him. Those who break the rules have to die, but in the next moment, his expression. That ray of light. The array spirit array spirit array spirit. The array spirit array spirit. It instantly landed on his body. His body, his being, his, Lee's bodies to his bodies. The next moment, Justin let out a roar of pain. Boom. Justin, his death. This scene caused everyone's expression to change greatly. They all felt disbelief. The array spirit actually killed one of its own? Looking at the direction where Zichen was, the powerful attack in the sky was still breaking down bit by bit, and the energy was being absorbed by Zichen. Judging from its careful look, it was as if it was worried that Zichen would explode if it absorbed too much energy. How could this be? At this moment, many people had such doubts in their hearts. Luoao was also somewhat incoherent. Justin had died just like that. Shifeng blinked his eyes in shock. He, too, seemed to be confused by this scene. Damn it, that's mine. Luoao suddenly went crazy and charged straight at Zichen. He wanted to snatch Zichen's energy. Suddenly, another ray of light fell from the sky and went straight for Luoao. Luoao let out a loud cry and quickly retreated. With a loud bang, Luoao was sent flying by the energy impact. After landing, he coughed out large mouthfuls of blood, and his aura immediately became weak. How dare you? With the array spirit here, it's not your turn to run amok. At this moment, a loud shout was heard. An old man looked down at Luo Ao indifferently, and his eyes were filled with warning. The people that Luo Ao brought with him were all trembling at this moment, afraid of being implicated. Luo Ao stood up and no longer dared to be rash. The old man immediately cupped his fist at the sky. I wonder what has triggered the array spirit. I hope Lord Array Spirit can forgive me. The array in the sky was still there, and no one responded. I believe all of you must be very confused. Why is this happening, right? A faint voice was heard at this moment, and a middle-aged man flew over. The moment they saw the middle-aged man, many of the Alliance's people's faces changed. Oh my, why are you back? The old man looked at the person who came and frowned. My mission has been completed. Naturally, I have to come back. All my sneered. I didn't expect that after so many years, this place is still filled with smoke. How dare you? The old man was slightly angry. All my said, am I wrong? Then, do you know why Lord Array's spirit has awakened? The old man naturally didn't know. The others were also curious as to why all of this was happening. When the alliance was first established, the Array spirit protected one side. Lord Array's spirit was fair and impartial and never sided with any side. In that era, all those who violated the rules were killed by the Array spirit. All my said, but later on, Lord Array's spirit went into hibernation, and the array was supervised by a group of people. So, you all are used to thinking that you can do whatever you want. A trace of disdain flashed across the corner of All Mai's mouth, but I didn't expect that today. I messed up and caused Lord Array's spirit to awaken. All Mai looked at Zichen below. As for why this happened, why don't you ask this young man what happened? Why was that idiot Justin blasted into nothingness? How dare you? Justin is your companion. The old man's face had a trace of anger. All Mai heard this and said with disdain, this kind of trash doesn't deserve to be my companion. Then, All Mai lowered his head and looked at Zichun. Zichun, tell me what happened? At this moment, Zichun was absorbing the energy, but it didn't stop him from speaking. Zichun said, I don't know why, but I was stopped by these people. They first insulted me, and their words were very unpleasant. Then, they attacked me. I had no choice but to attack and teach them how to behave. The old man said indifferently, you broke the rules by attacking them. Zichen said, they attacked first. What does it have to do with me? Luo said, we didn't use our powers. We were just fighting. Zichun said indifferently, did I use my powers when I was fighting you? The old man frowned. All Mai heard this and said, since you didn't use your powers, you didn't break the rules. Speaking of which, there are so many of you, but you can't even beat one person. You're really useless. I say, you shouldn't be from the Alliance, right? Otherwise, you'll be embarrassing the Alliance. Ignoring the ugly expressions of the others, All Mai looked at Zichen again. You continue, Zichen said. I beat them down and then persuaded them to be good people. Who knew that they wouldn't listen? Instead, they shouted that they wanted to use the formation to kill me. I didn't expect the formation to show its power. Of course, I had to resist. Otherwise, I would die. All Mai heard this and said with disdain, you can't beat them, but you still cheated. Not only are you so shameless, but there are still idiots who are willing to cooperate with you. Serves them right. Enough, All Mai. Don't you think that's too much? The old man's expression was very ugly. All Mai spread his hands and said, that piece of trash deserved to die. I think it's only right. If you think it's too much, then go find Lord Formation Spirit and see if he was too heavy-handed. He should have left his corpse intact. Then, All Mai pointed at Luo and the others below. Also, asked them if they deserved to die. How did they die? When this sentence was said, the people that Luo brought were almost paralyzed with fear. The Formation Spirit attacked without any scruples. If it really wanted to kill them, they would all die. In the next moment, they knelt down and begged for mercy and fear. The old man's expression changed greatly. He didn't have the guts to question the Formation Spirit. Speaking of which, before this, he didn't know that the Formation Spirit had such power. Because as long as he could remember, he had never seen the Formation Spirit awaken. There was even a rumor that the formation spirit seemed to have met with some accident and would never wake up. Actually, I think that you should make up for your mistakes. For example, you should sincerely apologize to this young man and compensate him with some benefits. All My smiled. Maybe the young man won't care. Lord Formation Spirit will see your sincerity and won't be angry. After saying this, All My looked at Luo and the others. What do you think? Luo looked at the formation in the sky and recalled Justin's death. He immediately broke out in cold sweat. At this moment, he couldn't care about anything else. He hurriedly said to Zichun, Zichun, I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Yes, we were wrong. We were wrong. When the others saw this, they immediately apologized. Shifeng was still standing in the distance. After seeing this farce, he had a new opinion of the situation. Maybe some things may not be true even if you see them. He shook his head, sighed slightly, and turned to leave. Zichun wanted to humiliate Luo because this was a rare opportunity. However, he vaguely sensed that Luo seemed to be related to this old man. Because when the old man appeared, he seemed to be reprimanding Luo, but wasn't it also a reminder? Zichun, I was wrong. Please forgive me. When Luo saw that Zichun still didn't respond, he was very afraid and could only apologize again. The old man in the sky didn't stop him, because this situation was also out of his expectations. Once the formation spirit was angry, no one here could stop it. Then, they would have died for nothing. Zichun, we were wrong. Please forgive us and forgive us. The others also apologized again. Zichun glanced at All My. All My looked at Zichun with a smile. The meaning was obvious. He could make the decision. Zichun said, I'm seriously injured now. It's hard for me to say a word. I really can't answer you. When this sentence came out, everyone was stunned. Seriously injured. Hard for him to say a word? Can't answer? How many words were there? There was only one word for forgiveness. This is an ancient pill from the pre-chaos era. It can heal your injuries. Chapter 53:22. Zichun's reply made everyone stunned. Luoao and the rest were very nervous. They weren't sure if the array spirit would continue to be angry. Fortunately, the old man came to their rescue. A jade box fell from above and landed in front of Zichun. Zichun had never seen this person in the days he was here, but he could guess that the other party should be the Alliance's manager. He took the jade box and opened it in front of everyone to confirm it. One had to say that this action made many people admire him. His courage was commendable. There was a pill inside. In this wasteland, pills were very rare. After closing the jade box, Zichun waved his hand and said, It's just a small matter. Don't mind it. After saying that, he continued to refine the energy from above. Although Luoao and the rest were forgiven by Zichun, they were still on tenterhooks. In the sky, the array trembled several times and then disappeared. Only the light above Zichun's head was still there, and it was disintegrating on its own. The few of you, stop fooling around. The old man reprimanded Luoao and then looked at Zichun before disappearing. All My descended from the sky and came to Zichun's side. He nodded and smiled at the old man at the entrance of the store. The old man didn't reply and turned to enter the store. The others also left, and only All My continued to stay here, until Zichun finished refining the last bit of energy. Sir, why are you here? Looking at All My, Zichun was very excited. The other party had helped him out once again. All My said, My mission outside is completed. Naturally, I have to come back. After all, I am also a member of the Alliance. All My sized up Zichun. With the array spirit's gift, you should be able to improve again. Zichun nodded. 8th stage is just around the corner. All My smiled. This is worth celebrating. Let's go and drink to celebrate. All My walked towards the store in front. Sir, that's not a pub. Zichun reminded him kindly. So what if it's not a pub? It's fine as long as there's wine. All My walked in. Old man, a friend is here. Bring out the good wine. All My found a place to sit down. The old man glanced at All My. What are you looking at? I'm really friends with Zichun. All My gestured for Zichun to sit down. We've known each other for a long time. The old man was still looking at All My. All My said, What are you waiting for? Give me some wine. A hint of disdain flashed across the old man's face. Look at you. You've never seen the world. Armai waved his hand, and a flagon of wine appeared. He tossed it to the old man. This is for you. Enjoy it. The old man took the wine jug and looked at its material. His expression changed a little. Then, he shook the wine inside and listened to the sounds inside. Zichen took a look and saw that it was the wine he had given Almai. He didn't expect that Almai would still keep it. This is... The old man finally spoke. Almai said, "It's enough for you to keep for the rest of your life." A glint flashed across the old man's eyes. Really? Almai snorted. Even I can't bear to drink it. What do you think? Then, Almai waved his hand. Hurry up and bring out the good wine. Even your good wine can't compare to it. The old man carefully put away the wine jug, as if he was holding a rare treasure. Seeing this, Zichun took out 2 jugs of wine. I still have some here. Drink this. The old man's eyes lit up, but they were also filled with hesitation. Almai was the same. He looked at the wine jug with joy and fear. Zichun didn't understand. It was just a drink. Why did he have such an expression? It wasn't like he was some primordial beast. He immediately opened it. Both jugs of wine were opened. The fragrance of the wine filled the air. The 2 of them were stunned. Then, they took a deep breath. The fragrance of the wine entered their nostrils, intoxicating their faces. Zichun was even more puzzled. No matter how good the wine was, it shouldn't be like this. In fact, Zichun didn't know that the 2 of them didn't care about the wine, but the smell of their hometown. The wine had already been opened. Naturally, they couldn't waste it. The 3 of them each had a bowl and drank the 2 jugs of wine. During this time, the 2 of them didn't speak. Zichun also remained silent. The atmosphere was slightly stifling. Slowly, Zichun's heart calmed down. Next, they just drank. The old man drank the last mouthful of wine and let out a long sigh. It wasn't easy. Almai smiled. Yes. Fortunately, it's finally here. He stood up and patted Zichun's shoulder. You did well. Let's continue next time. Zichun nodded and then waited for the 2 of them to say something. In the end, the 2 of them didn't say anything. Zichun left. He wanted to go back to cultivate and try to advance again. After Zichun left, the old man spoke again. It's him? Almai shook his head. I'm not sure. The old man frowned. Almai said, I'm really not sure. But this time, the array spirit revived and helped him. Maybe it saw something. After a pause, Almai said, or maybe it didn't want to see him in danger, so it gave him the power of a realm. The old man said again, he came alone? Almai said, the dusty road was opened, and many people came. Zichun is their leader. The reason I was able to return this time was because Zichun obtained that strand of soul power, which freed me. The old man nodded and didn't say anything else. Almai waited for a while, but the old man still didn't speak. He said, aren't you going to say anything? The old man said, so many years have passed. Let's wait and see. That's it? Almai stood up. It's not easy to meet one, and you're going to say that? What else? The old man glanced at Almai. Sigh. Almai sighed. That's all we can do. But Zichun's luck is good. The heavens are helping him. The heavens? The old man heard this and smiled disdainfully. Today's matter spread quickly, and many ancient legends about the array spirit appeared. It was said that back then, in order to protect this city, the array spirit fought an evil spirit and fell into a deep sleep. In the past, the awakening of the array was man-made. This time, the array spirit was fully awakened. After the array spirit awakened, the city had its own consciousness. Without a doubt, the power of the array would be greatly increased. The old man returned to his residence. The awakening of the array spirit was completely out of his expectations. Not only did he lose a pill, but he also lost face. His expression was very ugly. Sir, a person walked in and was about to say something. The old man glanced at the other party. The person subconsciously closed his mouth. The old man waved his hand. With a wave of his hand, a magic array appeared and isolated the surroundings. The awakening of the array spirit is a matter of great importance. Sir, What do you plan to do? The person asked. The old man said, It's indeed a little unexpected. Let's report this matter first. With the array spirit fully awakened, the city had its own consciousness. Next, if they wanted to do whatever they wanted, Justin's fate would be the same. The person nodded and then asked, Do you want us to do something to that daring trial taker today? The old man waved his hand and said, No need. The younger generation's matters should be settled by themselves. Moreover, Almai is back. If he knows that we meddled in this matter, there will definitely be trouble. 3 days passed, and the trial path opened. Zichen received the news early in the morning and came to the square. There were already many trial takers gathered here. They came from different places. At this moment, when they saw Zichun, they all looked at him strangely. They all saw the scene that day. Leonard stood in the crowd and looked at Zichun coldly. This time, I won't let you come out alive. His eyes were full of killing intent. Shifeng was also next to him. When he saw the scene of Zichen being targeted last time, he deliberately distanced himself from Leonard. Unexpectedly, the other party was too enthusiastic. This time, he even invited him to enter the trial path together to discuss the plan to kill Zichen. He couldn't refuse, so he could only agree first. However, after a few days of interacting with Leonard, his impression of him had greatly decreased. On the high platform, several middle-aged men stood. Zichen looked up and discovered that Almai was actually there too. It seemed that after the other party returned, he became a higher-up of the alliance. This is just a small test. Everyone, just do what you can. A person walked up and looked at the trial takers. If you encounter danger, everyone can withdraw at any time. Everyone nodded. Right at this moment, Almai stepped forward and said, Although that's the case, everyone can still compete with each other when they encounter good things. After all, this trial has a prize. The first person will be rewarded with a breakthrough pill and directly enter the heavenly law realm. The eyes of the trial takers all changed. All of them were full of fighting spirit. This meant that there was a chance to reach the heavens in a single bound. Suddenly, a tyrannical aura came over. That was a sword light that headed straight for the core of the alliance. When everyone saw this, their faces changed. Someone was attacking the alliance? Enemy attack! Someone shouted loudly. Following that, rays of light soared into the sky, wanting to block this sword light. Buzz! Suddenly, a formation appeared and formed a protective barrier in the sky. A tyrannical aura swept through the entire city. The formation spirit had awakened. The sword light fell and met the barrier, causing countless ripples. It was just that they were all blocked, so it did not affect the city. But outside the city, the sky was constantly distorted, and the clouds were all torn apart. Terrifying energy fluctuations destroyed everything in its path. Everyone looked up at this scene with shock on their faces. Swoosh! The sword light disappeared, but the barrier still existed. Cheers came from below. It was obvious that the formation spirit had won. The formation spirit has indeed awakened. A person appeared out of thin air. He stood in the air, wearing shining armor. He took out a talisman and shouted, This is the Immortal Soul Clan order. Formation spirit, come forward and listen to the order. Above the formation, the light distorted and an illusory figure appeared. This is the formation spirit? In an instant, there was an uproar in the city. Obviously, no one had seen the true body of the formation spirit. Immortal Soul Clan order? What's that? The formation spirit said, Why do you want me to listen to the order? This voice was neither happy nor sad, and it was impossible to tell whether it was a man or a woman. There was no emotion at all. Impudent, you were born from the Immortal Soul Clan, so you naturally have to listen to the Immortal Soul Clan order. The person shouted again, Don't tell me you want to rebel? He immediately activated the talisman in his hand. A formation diagram instantly flew out from the talisman. Chapter 53:23. The intruder triggered the Immortal Soul Race token, and countless dermic seals flew out. The dermic seals emitted an ancient aura, overlapping and intertwining like a large net, heading straight for the array spirit. The aura was vast and mighty. Even though they were separated by the array, everyone felt the pressure. The array spirit was completely formed by light and shadow. At this moment, he raised his palm. Buzz. The city began to tremble. The array was fully awakened, and infinite light erupted from all parts of the city. The city walls, the ground, and even some buildings began to glow. All places with dermic seals were triggered. A terrifying pressure engulfed every inch of the area. The array spirit wanted to use the power of the entire city to resist the immortal soul race token. Buzz. A huge pillar of light shot straight into the sky. You reckless fool. What's the power of a mere city? The power of the immortal soul race token is not something you can imagine. The intruder snorted disdainfully. He formed a seal with both hands, and a large net formed by countless arrays fell from above. The two met, and a series of explosions erupted in the sky. The space began to distort violently. The two terrifying energies continued to clash, and they were evenly matched. Below, everyone looked at the sky in shock. This battle was completely out of their expectations. I don't know what you're talking about. Retreat quickly, the array spirit said, but this time, there was a hint of coldness in his voice. You. The intruder's expression was still disdainful, but this time, he let go of the immortal soul race token. The immortal soul race token turned into a stream of light and entered the large net. The aura of the large net grew rapidly. Next, with the support of the race token, the light net pressed forward, as if it was a natural counter to the array spirit, melting away the array spirit's attack. Then, it pressed down bit by bit. Seeing that the array spirit was gradually at a disadvantage, everyone's expression changed. Zichen's eyes were fixed on the sky. In the eyes of everyone, it was a net of light, but in Zichen's eyes, it was countless divine runes and restrictions. They were arranged according to a certain pattern and were extremely complicated, but if one sensed carefully, they would find some loopholes. Suddenly, Zichen's pupils constricted as he discovered a fatal problem. Subconsciously, he took a step forward. Don't be impulsive. No matter what happens today, you're just a bystander. Almai's voice sounded in Zichen's mind. Zichen retracted his foot and looked up at the sky. The power of the city's spirit design was completely depleted, and the net of light fell on the formation spirit. Layers upon layers of seals. The array spirit was defeated. The crowd below was in an uproar. However, there were also many people with cold expressions. The array spirit tried to struggle, but to no avail. The moment the net of light trapped him, he lost his connection with the city's formation. You overestimate yourself? The person snorted disdainfully. I'm here today to tell you that you're not allowed to have your own will in the future. Everything must be done according to our people. Why? The Jinling asked. This is my territory. Why can't I interfere? Because you're not worthy. The other party said coldly. I heard that you killed one of our people. Do you know what sort of price we have to pay for the sake of fostering a Dharma soul? How could we allow you to kill him just like that? He disregarded the rules and abused the formation to harm the innocent. For the sake of fairness, he must die. When the Jinling said this, many people looked at Zichen. This matter was caused by Zichen. I'm here today to tell you that from now on, you only have the right to protect and not to enforce the law. As for right and wrong, it's up to the enforcers here to decide. A cold, murderous intent flashed in the person's eyes. If we can create you, we can naturally destroy you. The other party snapped his fingers, and the Jinling let out a scream. His materialized body gradually dimmed. I'm just teaching you a lesson today. Remember this. The person said indifferently, from now on, you have no right to enforce the law. The matter was about to end. Suddenly, a voice came from below. Sir, I have something to report. When the other party heard this, he glanced down. Luaneo. Last time, I witnessed the Jinling's unreasonable behavior. He didn't even give Sir Justin a chance to explain and directly killed him. Speaking of this, Luaneo suddenly pointed at Zichen and said, also, this guy clearly broke the rules here, but the Jinling didn't punish him. Instead, he gave him some power as a gift. We really can't stand it anymore. Zichen became the focus of everyone's attention once again. Take back the gift immediately, the existence in the sky said indifferently. The Zhenling said, "There's no problem with my reward and punishment. Then you're courting death." Murderous intent flashed in the person's eyes. "Sir, right and wrong aren't determined by just talking." Almai walked out and said, "There were many witnesses to the incident that day. As for the truth, you'll know after asking." "Do I need you to teach me how to do things?" The existence in the sky looked at Almai coldly. Almai hurriedly cupped his fists and said, "I dare not. It's just that many people saw what happened that day. They also praise Serene Ling for being fair in rewards and punishments. They all admire you from the bottom of their hearts. They feel that with such a guardian, they can stay here with peace of mind and work wholeheartedly for the alliance." The other party smiled faintly. "You're better at talking, so I'll forgive your ignorance. But today, I've said that the Zhenling only has the power to protect and not to enforce the law. Therefore, the gift of power still has to be taken back, because it doesn't count." Almai's expression changed. The person in the sky said, "How much power did he give?" Luan Ao immediately said, "The power of the first level." After saying that, he turned to look at Zichun with a provocative expression. "So, sir, you need to take back the power of the first level. Stand out." The other party said indifferently, "Don't wait for me to drag you out." In fact, Zichun had already become the focus of attention. The other party naturally knew, but did not point it out. The development of the incident was completely unexpected. Zichun did not expect that trouble would fall on him without him saying a word. However, the other party was too strong. He had no other choice but to stand out. "Sir, I have no objections to returning the first level, but I'm afraid it will affect his talent. This child has obtained an ancient soul power and will definitely be a pillar of the SBHYNX clan in the future. If his realm is taken away today and his foundation is damaged, it will be a huge loss for the SBHYNX clan." Without waiting for the other party to speak, Almai continued, "If you need an explanation, sir, then I'm willing to use my heavenly Dharma strength to return the first level to Zichun." As soon as he said that, the crowd burst into an uproar again. One had to know that Zichun was only at the Dharma extermination realm. Even if one level was taken away, it was nothing. After all, compared to the first level of the heavenly Dharma realm, one level of the Dharma extermination realm strength was nothing. However, Almai was willing to return one level to Zichun. Zichun's expression also changed. He wanted to speak. "Don't speak. At this time, the more you speak, the more mistakes you will make. Now, all you need to do is watch and listen. Everything is up to me." Almai's voice once again resounded in Zichun's mind. Zichun could hear the seriousness in the other party's voice. He also knew the severity of the matter and did not say anything else. From Luo's point of view, this scene seemed to indicate that Zichun was afraid. Hence, his expression became even more disdainful. Shifeng stood at the side and remained silent. "You want to replace him?" The person looked at Almai. "Yes." Almai nodded. "The reason why I can return is because of him. I'm willing to help him now. If in the future, we can really produce an amazing SBHYNX clan, then my loss today will be nothing." The person looked at Almai and then at Zichun. "All right, but if you replace him, it won't be one level, but two." When these words were said, many people raised their eyebrows. Exchanging 2 levels of the heavenly Dharma realm for 1 level of the Dharma extermination realm was not worth it. However, Almai had already made his choice. He patted his chest and a powerful force vibrated. The 2 levels were forcefully extracted by him and turned into pure energy that flew into the sky. After losing 2 levels, Almai's aura immediately withered. Fortunately, he was still in the heavenly Dharma realm. The 2 levels flew into the sky. The person waved his hand disdainfully as though he was swatting a fly. The levels that Almai had painstakingly cultivated disappeared from the world just like that. So be it then. This matter was over. Suddenly, a voice sounded again. "Almai, your cultivation has been greatly damaged. You are no longer suitable for your current position. I will revoke your current position." The old man appeared and looked at Almai. "Step back quickly. You are no longer qualified to continue presiding over this trial." He had just lost his level, and now he had lost his position. All of this was because of Zichun. If Zichun was willing to give up the power of 1 level, All My would definitely not have suffered such a great loss. Hence, for a moment, many people looked at the silent Zichan with disdain in their eyes. How could such an irresponsible person be worthy of being a Dharma soul? Zichan stood there expressionlessly. He looked like he was heartless, but his heart was filled with self-blame and anger. At this moment, he urgently needed strength. If he had absolute strength, he could deal with these people's unreasonable pestering with a slap. However, without strength, he could only endure it. Endure the humiliation. Endure the rolling eyes. Endure the disdain and ridicule. Don't mind it. As a man, this little bit of humiliation is nothing. All My's voice sounded again. At this time, he was still comforting himself. All My smiled. That's good. I have time to cultivate now that I am free. Under everyone's gaze, he retreated until he was completely out of the line. This represented the loss of power. Just when everyone thought that everything was over, Leonard's voice sounded again. Lord, please seek justice for those dead trial takers. The person in the air frowned slightly. Everyone was stunned. It was not over yet? Chapter 53:24. Everyone thought that this was the end of the matter. They did not expect that there would be such a scene. All of them looked at Zichun again. Zichun was also stunned. He did not expect that someone could be so shameless. How could such a thing be brought up? What did you say? A cold light flashed in the eyes of the man in the air. There's such a thing? Leo nodded and said, yes. Many of those who participated in the trial had already obtained the qualifications. They would definitely become Dharma souls in the future. However, none of them walked out of the trial ground. All of them died. I secretly investigated and found that he killed all of them. It's best not to talk about such things without evidence. All My stood in the crowd and said, his eyes full of warning. Even if someone was to blame, it was naturally Leo who had the most responsibility. Who would blame him? Impudent. If such a thing really happened, then it must be severely punished. The old man said angrily, in my Ogiest's jurisdiction, such a thing is not allowed to happen. Leo promised, I, Leo, dare to use my head to guarantee that this is absolutely true. Ogiest was furious. You're really an evil person. You even killed your own people. Men, kill him. Many people in the crowd were furious. However, there were still some people whose expressions became strange. These two people spoke one after another and decided Zichen's fate. And from the beginning to the end, Zichen did not say a word. He was going to die just like that? Aren't you too shameless? There was a hint of anger on All My's face. Leo looked at All My. I exposed the truth and you call that shameless? Then why did he kill so many of his companions? Leo cupped his fists at the sky. Sir, I hope you can kill this thief immediately. So what if he has some talent? Once this kind of person grows up, he will definitely be a disaster to our Dharma Soul Alliance in the future. The man in the sky frowned. Ogius said indifferently, what are you waiting for? Capture him first and interrogate him carefully. If it's true, kill him without mercy. Immediately, several people walked out. How dare you? All My stood out. Ogius said again, also, take All My away. I suspect that he's the mastermind. The aura of the Heaven Law realm surged as several people rushed over. All My sneered. Are you trying to mess with me? Then come and try. Even if I lose 2 levels of cultivation, I can still completely crush all of you. Not to be outdone, All My stood in front of the crowd. Let's see who dares to come forward. If you dare to resist, kill without mercy. Killing intent flashed in Ogius' eyes. He actually hoped that All My would fight back now. In a situation where the array spirit could not attack, he did not mind killing All My on the spot. Come on. All My released his aura. The others did the same. A great battle was about to break out. Ogiest was also calculating the timing of his attack. Zichun was very anxious, but there was nothing he could do. Right at this moment, an aged voice sounded out. You two, grandfather and grandson, are echoing each other and trying to put someone to death? Do you think everyone is an idiot? Ogiest, your IQ is really low. No wonder you can only come up with such a despicable trick. Since he dared to speak at this time, he was naturally not an ordinary person. Everyone turned their heads and saw an old man walking forward. It was an unfamiliar face. Many people were surprised. Why was the other party so bold? After Zichun and Leonard saw the other party, their faces were filled with disbelief. It was the hunchbacked old man who had led them here. He actually came. Moreover, his back was no longer hunched, and his eyes were no longer blurry. A pair of deep eyes stared at Ogiest, obviously filled with disdain and mockery. "It's you." The moment he saw the old man, Ogiest's face changed greatly, and his eyes flashed with shock. The existence in the sky was puzzled at first, but he reacted quickly, and his face changed. He cupped his fists at the old man and bowed. The old man did not even look at him. "Ogiest, you've been overseeing this place for so many years. Do you really think this place is your home? You think you can do whatever you want?" The old man looked at Leonard again. "Kid, you're really vicious. You only said that Zichun killed those trial takers, but why didn't you say why they died? You ignored the trial's rules and forcibly arranged for those who passed the trial to enter the trial ground to kill. Why didn't you say it all together and let the one in the sky judge for you? You're lying." Leonard pointed at the old man, not daring to admit it. "I didn't do it. He killed them. In this world, who dares to say that I'm lying?" The old man disdainfully said, "Kid, the reason why you dare to twist the truth is that you have a grandfather here. Of course, there's also a blind man in the sky who's easy to fool. If he dared to say that the man was blind, it was enough to see that this old man wasn't ordinary." The man in the sky continued to change his face, but he didn't get angry, which was rare. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but he didn't dare to. Leonard was so scared that he didn't dare to respond. Ogiest didn't have his previous arrogance. "It's better not to talk nonsense without evidence." The old man was amused. "Ogiest, I feel that I'm dirtying my mouth by scolding you. I'm here, and you're talking about rules with me. Why didn't you do that before? Or else you're all pig-headed. It's your fault, but you blame others. You even want to find an excuse to kill people." Everybody looked at Ogiest and Leonard. This pair of grandfather and grandson didn't say anything, which indirectly admitted it. For a moment, disdain appeared on many people's faces. "I'm too lazy to talk to you." The old man shook his head and smiled mockingly. Then, he looked at Zichun. "Zichun, what do you say?" Zichun said, "Can I say?" This was the first sentence Zichun said since the beginning. He had been silent all this time. The old man smiled. "Of course, you have the right. After all, you're the one who was wronged." Zichun looked at Leonard, then at Ogiest. He took a deep breath and said, "F***u." This foul language caused everyone to be stunned. They thought that Zichun was going to explain the reason. They didn't expect him to start scolding people directly. Then, Zichun smiled. "My mood is much better now. I was so disgusted just now." Then, he looked at Leonard. "You bastard, if you don't like me, then do it openly. What's the point of finding a group of dogs to plot against your ancestor?" Ogiest was Leonard's grandfather, and Zichun was referring to himself as an ancestor. Undoubtedly, both of them were scolded together. This caused the expressions of the two men to turn extremely ugly. The same was true for the one in the sky. "Do you want to die?" Leonard was completely furious after being humiliated like this. Zichun said disdainfully, "I'll fight you with only one hand. Do you dare to fight me? It's good that everyone can be witnesses." The old man smiled and said, "If there's a conflict that can't be resolved, I think it can be resolved here. Instead of using underhanded means, it's better to fight openly. This is also in line with Fahan's style of doing things." Zichun said, "All right, a battle of life and death. Get out of the arena alive. You bastard, do you dare?" Leonard naturally didn't dare, but he obviously wouldn't admit it. He said directly, "I'm not as barbaric as you. Talking about a battle of life and death every time you open your mouth. You don't dare to have a battle of life and death with me, so you're using underhanded means behind my back, right? You're king grandson. I really don't understand what kind of family can nurture such an outstanding grandson like you," Leonard said unhappily. Zichun, watch your tone. As a Fahan reserve, how can you be so vulgar? Zichun said, vulgar is better than despicable. Also, if you have the ability, then fight with me. If you don't, then shut your mouth. Ogiest couldn't listen to the two of them arguing anymore. All right, you're both Fahan reserve. How can you be like this? The old man said, you also know that this isn't good? Why didn't you stop them earlier? However, the old man couldn't be bothered to argue with such people. He looked at Zichun and said, do you know what's the most important thing for a Fahan? Zichun shook his head. The old man smiled slightly. It's living. As long as you're alive, everything is possible. For example, infighting between Fahan is forbidden, but what if someone is shameless and kills you without regard to the rules? First, you have to be alive. Only when you're alive can you explain yourself and let the truth come to light, right? Zichun nodded, indicating that he understood. Clearly, this was the old man's kind advice. All right, go and take the test. The old man waved his hand, and a force landed on Zichun's body. The next moment, Zichun's body left the spot and flew into the air, disappearing into a ripple. The test had begun. All trial takers, enter immediately, the person in charge shouted. The trial takers entered one by one. During this time, Ogiest glanced to the side, and a person left. It didn't take long for a group of people to arrive and enter the examination grounds. When the old man saw these people who came later, his expression didn't change much. If it was a normal competition, he naturally wouldn't be worried. After the trial takers entered the test field, the old man looked at Almai and said, no matter when, don't let yourself be weak. Strength is the foundation of your standing. Almai nodded, especially in front of a group of despicable people. Once you're in a weak state, they'll surround you like vicious dogs and tear you apart. The old man waved his hand, and in the sky, the force condensed again. It was the two layers of force that had dissipated earlier. They reappeared. This scene made everyone's face reveal a shocked expression. Easily dispersing these two layers of force wasn't difficult at all. The difficult part was to find them again from heaven and earth. Many people's eyes were filled with shock. How powerful was this old man? Then, the old man waved his hand again and returned the two layers of force to Almai. He returned it without any damage. Almai's weak aura became strong again, returning to his previous state. After sensing his body, Almai immediately cupped his fists and thanked him. The old man nodded slightly and then looked at the person in the sky. That person cupped his fists at the old man to show his respect. That's all. The old man turned and left. That person said, sir, you're not going back with me? The old man said, I'm an exiled person. What right do I have to go back? After a few steps, the old man disappeared. Send more people in. Don't let him live. Chapter 53:25. This trial was just a small test. It was a redistribution of the potential of those successful reserves based on points. In terms of importance, no one would be eliminated this time, so there was basically no loss. But if it was not important, the following reserves of Dharma souls would be distributed according to this ranking. A token fell from the sky, and Zichun reached out to grab it. His name appeared on it, and the number was 0. In addition to points, he could save his life if he crushed it in a dangerous moment. However, his points would be fixed here. Zichun's soul power spread out. He discovered soul beasts and other trial takers. Some of them were very close to him, but these people seemed to be very afraid of him, and they quickly retreated. In Zichun's perception, there was no trace of a trial taker within a radius of 5,000 feet. This was good too. He could accumulate points in peace. What Zichun did not know was that those people who retreated had already started to send messages. In less than 15 minutes, more than 100 people gathered outside. Among these people, the weakest was at level 8 of Dharma destruction. They gathered together, with Luan Ao leading. How many people? Luan Ao asked. 134 people. A person beside him replied. It's enough to kill that Zichun. No hurry, wait a little longer. After another cup of tea, that person said, 185 people, 185 people. More than 70% of them were at level 9 of Dharma destruction. With such a lineup, Not to mention killing a Dharma destruction, it was more than enough to kill a heaven law. We'll go again after 200. Luan Ao gritted his teeth. This time, I'm going to tear Zichun into pieces. Is the ancient sealing talisman ready? It's ready. Even if Zichun crushes the jade talisman, he won't be able to escape. After the number of people reached 205, Luan Ao led his people forward. They were very aggressive. Wherever they passed, those soul beasts sensed that something was wrong and immediately retreated. They were obviously intelligent and knew that this group of people was not to be trifled with. Zichun retracted his soul power and looked at the points on the token. There were already 38 points. He smiled faintly and stopped his killing. He sensed 206 people with his soul power, and the leader was naturally an old acquaintance, Lao. I wonder how many points I can get by killing them, Zichun thought to himself. When they were still 3,000 feet away from Zichun, they spread out and formed a huge encirclement. Zichun walked another 500 feet forward and found an extremely spacious area. This place was very suitable for battle. He used his power to condense a crystal ball that floated above his head, and then shouted, "Friends, what is the meaning of this?" "Who's your friend?" A cold voice sounded from the front. Then, a crowd appeared. Zichun said, "Even if we're not friends, we're still companions. Why are you here instead of hunting soul beasts for points? And so many people at that? Zichun, are you playing dumb with me?" Lao walked out and stared coldly at Zichun. Zichun said with an innocent face, "I don't know what you mean. I'm just here to train. Aren't you all the same?" "Enough," Lao roared. "Where's your arrogance from before? Didn't you want to fight me? I'm here now, but it's not 1 against 1. It's you against more than 200 of us." Zichun said, "I think there must be some misunderstanding. I have no enmity with any of you, so why should we fight?" As soon as he said that, it immediately caused a burst of laughter. "Scared? You're scared just like that." Lao shook his head and said disdainfully, "You coward. Don't blame me for looking down on you. A coward like you isn't even fit to carry my shoes." "Lao, watch your tone. We're all lost souls. How can you be so vulgar?" Zichun said seriously. This was what Lao had said before. "F***CKU, dog, now you're talking to me about vulgarity?" Lao said agitatedly. "I'm here today to kill you. I'm going to chop you into pieces and feed you to the dogs." Zichun said again, "It's against the rules to fight here. Are you F***King kidding me?" Lao was so angry that he was amused. He pointed at Zichun's head and said, "You think I'm afraid of you just because you're holding this broken thing? This is evidence. I'm also doing this for everyone to get along peacefully." Zichun said again, "You guys can leave. We're all companions, so there's no need to do this." "Childish, can't I kill you and then break your broken crystal?" Lao said disdainfully, "With your pig brain, you want to learn how to scheme like others." Zichun said, "I'm just here to train. Can you not fight?" "No, I'm here to kill you." Lao's voice was cold. Zichun said again, "You're breaking the rules. The Lost Soul Alliance forbids infighting." Lao laughed and said, "Here, I'm the rule. I don't believe that after killing you, someone will stand up for you. Who would stand up for a dead person? Speaking of which, what that old thing said was right. Only living is the most important." Zichun sighed helplessly. "Since I can't afford to offend you, then I'll leave, right?" Zichun took out his token and prepared to crush it and leave. "Haha, leave?" Lao smiled proudly and said, "Do you think I came here to kill you without any preparation?" An ancient talisman appeared, and Lao directly crushed it. The next moment, light flew into the sky and formed a seal. Zichun naturally didn't believe it and directly crushed the token. He really wanted to leave. Buzz. The token was crushed, but it was useless. The others around him had a look of ridicule. "Haha, this is great. Your only chance to leave is gone. Next, prepare to die." Lao waved his hand, and the others released their aura and moved forward. Zichun stopped the crystal ball's operation. His expression also turned cold in an instant. "Everyone, I think what you said is very right. Living is indeed more important than anything else." With that, Zichun began to form hand seals. Complicated hand seals flowed on his fingertips. Buzz. The clouds in the sky distorted and were crushed by a strong force. Within a radius of 50,000 feet, a huge formation appeared. The formation was vast and mighty, and the aura was terrifying, sweeping through every place below. When everyone sensed this aura, their faces changed drastically, and they all looked toward the sky. They saw that the formation in the sky was complicated and mysterious. At a glance, one's soul seemed to be trapped in it. Don't look at the sky, we just need to kill Zichun. Lao also immediately retracted his gaze and stared at Zichun again. I don't believe that he can deal with us by himself. When everyone heard that, their gazes fell on Zichun again. For a time, tyrannical aura surged, and all of them locked onto Zichun. Just the pressure of the aura was like a mountain pressing on Zichun's body. His breathing was gradually affected. Zichun immediately activated the immortal golden body, and infinite golden light shone, blocking all the pressure outside. I gave you a chance, but unfortunately, you don't know how to cherish it. Zichun's gaze was cold and ruthless. You think you can do that? Everyone looked disdainful, and some of them even cursed. Heaven and earth forbidden technique. Zichun said word by word, and the last word was like the sound of heaven and earth, causing the formation to resonate. The formation in the sky began to rotate slowly, and a vast and strange force descended from the sky and landed on everyone. Then, everyone was shocked to find that their bodies could not move. Although there were still some who could move their bodies, their reactions were extremely slow. The 206 people were all like this. Die. Just when they were extremely shocked, Zichun's voice sounded again. It was like the sound of hell. The world annihilation bell appeared and let out a crisp sound. It formed a destructive force that surged forward. Whoosh! The slaughter spirit followed closely behind, harvesting the lives of others. Under the forbidden spell of heaven and earth, everyone's bodies were greatly affected. In the face of such an attack, they could only watch and wait for their fate to come. One expert after another fell to the ground. They were like crops that were being harvested. When the others in the distance saw this, they screamed in horror and were ready to escape. Someone took out a token and was about to crush it. Bang! The token was crushed, but the person did not leave. When they looked up, they found that the power of the ancient talisman was still there. Damn it! They cursed angrily and slowly ran away. Everyone, I won't see you off. Zichun walked forward, and with every step he took, he would reap a life. During this period, the slaughter spirit and the world annihilation bell attacked on their own. 206 people fell one after another. They were dead after falling. Leonard, who was protected by an ancient talisman, had never seen such a scene. At this moment, he was so scared that his face turned pale and his teeth chattered. This was too terrifying. In front of Zichun, the 9th level of Dharma annihilation was nothing. They didn't even have the strength to fight back and die just like that. Not to mention that he had gathered over 200 people. Even if another 200 came, they would still die. Intense fear filled his heart. At this moment, Leonard only wanted to live. At this moment, Zichun's gaze locked onto him. Leonard retreated and shouted, "Don't come over! Don't come over!" Zichun's eyes flashed with killing intent. The destructive power of the world annihilation bell surged out. The ancient talisman that protected Leonard was attacked. It began to distort. Then, the slaughter spirit appeared, turned into a straight light, and landed on it. The distortion became more and more intense, and the light of the ancient talisman was quickly dimming. The fear on Leonard's face became more and more intense. The threat of death was right in front of him. Then, a golden light flashed and Zichun's fist arrived. Boom! With a loud tremor, the ancient talisman shattered and the defense was broken. Zichun's fist landed on Leonard's chest. The crisp sound of bones shattering rang out. Leonard was sent flying. Zichun's eyes turned slightly cold. He actually didn't die. But before he could step forward, Leonard's body disappeared. The next moment, Leonard's laughter sounded from behind Zichun. "You dog, this time, just wait for your death." Zichun turned his head abruptly, only to see that Luo Ao was already standing where he was previously standing. Above his head was the crystal ball that he had used earlier. He didn't have time to keep it. "You're courting death." Zichun came back to his senses and roared. This time, you're dead meat. Leonard smiled sinisterly and raised his hand. Pa! The crystal ball shattered. Zichun's attack arrived, but it directly passed through Leonard's body. Leonard's body was turning into a shadow and disappearing. Just wait for your death. Leonard's body disappeared, and another ancient talisman shattered. At the same time, Leonard's token also shattered. Chapter 53:26. Save me, save me. Leo ran out of the trial ground and shouted. It had only been a few hours since the start of the trial, and most of the people were still there. Luno's shout successfully attracted everyone's attention. What happened? Asked a person in charge. Leo had a look of panic as he said, Zichun went mad. He went on a killing spree inside and already killed several hundred trial takers. His words caused an uproar. How long had it been? And hundreds of people had died. Really? That person looked at Leo. Leo raised his hand and said, I, Leo, swear that if I lie, I'm willing to be struck by lightning. My lord, hurry up and send people in. Otherwise, Zichun will kill everyone. He has already done such a thing once. Armai stood among the crowd and looked at Leonard with a disdainful smile. He didn't need to guess to know why this happened. He only felt a little regretful. Why didn't he kill this guy? However, when he thought of his relationship with Ogiest, the other party must have given him a lot of life-saving methods. Otherwise, Zichun wouldn't have let him leave alive. Swoosh. Ogiest appeared and looked at Leo. Are you sure? Leo said again, very sure. Ogiest looked at a person in charge. Special circumstances require special treatment. Close the trial ground immediately. We have to get rid of this obstacle first. Otherwise, we will suffer a great loss this time. Ogiest was the most powerful person here. Naturally, no one had any objections to his words. In fact, everyone had their own thoughts, but they didn't say it out loud. The trial ground was forcibly closed. The people inside appeared one by one. They were all at a loss and didn't know what to do. At this moment, Ogiest looked at Leo. Leo swore solemnly. Ogiest immediately cupped his fists and said, My lord, please make the decision and punish Zichun severely. It turned out that the existence that restrained the formation spirit didn't leave. Hearing this, he walked out of the crowd and said indifferently, If this is true, I will definitely punish him severely. My lord, what if someone is pestering us endlessly like before? Almay stepped forward. At a time like this, he naturally believed in Zichun. Almay, what do you mean? Ogiest stared at Almay coldly. Armai said, It's not like we don't know what kind of people you and your granddaughter are. Who knows if this is true or not, or if it's another false accusation? What if Leonard provoked Zichun first, and Zichun had no choice but to fight back? The man snorted coldly and said, No matter who it is, I won't spare him today. At this moment, Zichun coincidentally appeared. In an instant, several people appeared and surrounded Zichun. They were all heavenly laws. Zichun was stunned. He was forcefully sent out by a force. He didn't expect to be surrounded as soon as he came out. That's him. He killed hundreds of trial takers. Leo pointed at Zichun and shouted. I tried to persuade him, but he didn't listen at all. In his eyes, there are no rules for Dharma souls. Zichun looked at Leo and said, What are you saying? Leo sneered and said, Are you playing dumb with me? Don't you know what you've done? Sir, the trial ground has been emptied. This time, there are 205 trial takers missing. As soon as this was said, there was an uproar. Everyone knew that there was almost no danger in this trial ground. This was only a small test for ranking, and there was no elimination. Even if someone was in danger, the token could send them out. But this time, more than 200 people were killed. This was the first time in history. Ogiest said, Wait a little longer. Leo shouted, Don't wait anymore. I saw them being killed with my own eyes. Before they died, they kept begging Zichun for mercy, saying that they were all comrades, but Zichun didn't care at all and killed them cruelly. Leo pointed at Zichun and said, Zichun, what do you have to say now? Zichun opened his mouth and was about to speak. Leo shouted coldly, I knew it. You have nothing to say. Sir, quickly kill him and avenge your dead comrades. That person looked at Zichen indifferently, but due to his previous experience, he didn't immediately make a decision. What do you say? Zichen said. Of course I can't believe his bullsh*t. Things are like this. As soon as I entered, Leo gathered hundreds of people to kill me. I told him that we were all comrades, but he didn't listen at all. I said that there are rules here, no infighting, but Leo was still here, and he was the rule. Those people were indeed killed by me, but I was protecting myself. Everything was Leo's doing. Bullsh*t. You're the one killing people. How dare you accuse me? Leo said with a sorrowful face, Sir, please seek justice for the dead. Zichen was very agitated when he heard that. He said, Sir, don't listen to his nonsense. I, Zichen, swear that I was protecting myself, and I didn't break the rules here. If what I said is false, I, Zichen, am willing to be struck by lightning 5 times. Zichen cupped his fists again and said, Sir, please seek justice for me. Leo also shouted agitatedly when he saw this, Sir, don't listen to his nonsense. I, Leo, also dare to swear here that everything I said is true. Zichen is a devil, one face in front of others and another behind their backs. He killed so many people and still pretended to be innocent. This kind of person is the most disgusting. The others around them watched this scene in silence. As for what the truth was, everyone could more or less guess it. Both of them were very reasonable at this moment, but the situation was obviously unfavorable to Zichen. This was because Zichen had really killed someone, and there was no way to deny it. Zichen was furious. You're talking nonsense, despicable. You're a despicable person. Leo sneered and said, You killed people and still call me a despicable person. Are you still king human? He was sure that victory was in his hands, so he had nothing to fear. Zichen cupped his fists at the person who came and said, Sir, I don't know who gave Leo the courage to disregard the rules again and harm his companions. Moreover, he dares to accuse others first. Impudent, don't make insinuations. This old man is related to Leo, but I believe that he has always abided by the rules of Dharma souls and has never overstepped them. August said coldly, I know that Leo is kind-hearted, but you, on the other hand, have killed people again and again. In your eyes, do you still care about Dharma souls? It's true that I killed people, but there's a premise. You didn't seek the truth, and instead, you came to accuse me. This makes me wonder if Leo is so daring because you secretly instructed him to do so. Zichen was not willing to be outdone. Zichen, don't accuse a good person wrongly. If you say it's related to me, then show me the evidence. Otherwise, it's slander. Leo smiled coldly. Then you'll be committing crimes on top of crimes. You might even have to die twice. Zichen suddenly said, Do you really think I don't have evidence? Leo's expression changed slightly. Zichen sneered, Do you think I'm joking with you? I, Zichen, am telling the truth. So, Leo, I advise you to admit it quickly. It might be good for you and the people behind you. If you continue to be stubborn, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Are you trying to scare me? Leo said disdainfully. Show me the evidence if you have the ability. Otherwise, you will die. No one can save you. At this moment, he was more and more convinced that Zichen was just bluffing. Zichen said again, This is your last chance. You talk too much. Sir, hurry up and kill him. This kind of person who disregards the rules must die. Leo was getting impatient. At this moment, Zichen said, Sir, please isolate this space and don't let anyone enter. When he said this, Zichen glanced at August. Everyone, back off. The other party said, and everyone immediately retreated. As for August, he looked at Leo. Luo Ao looked at the mysterious Zichen. His original confidence had dwindled a little. However, he still gave his grandfather a reassuring look. That's enough. Show me the evidence. The person who came looked at Zichen. Zichen shook his head and said, This isn't safe. It's better to be safe. I'm afraid that someone will launch a sneak attack. The person who came was getting impatient. However, when he thought of the old man from before, he could only wave his hand. A magic array isolated the space. Zichun took out a crystal ball. Then, he waved it at Leo. Impossible. Leo's expression changed drastically. He had already shattered Zichun's crystal ball. He's bluffing. He must be bluffing. He wants me to panic. Leo told himself in his heart. Looking at Leo, who was pretending to be calm, Zichun smiled in disdain. Then, he activated the crystal ball. In the image, it wasn't a battle scene. Instead, it was the scene when Zichun first entered the trial ground. When Leo saw this, his face turned pale immediately. This is impossible. This is impossible. The crystal ball he shattered was the one Zichun took out on the spot. As for this one, he had never seen it before. As expected, as the image rotated, the scene from back then appeared. The angle was different, but it was clearer. In the image, Leo led more than 200 people and appeared proudly. Zichun first said that they were companions and was mocked by Leo. Then, Zichun said that it was against the rules. In the end, Leo said that he was the rules. The image perfectly recorded Leo's arrogance and domineering attitude. The person who came was frowning. Then, Zichun planned to leave this place and give up on this trial. Unexpectedly, Leo used an ancient talisman to cut off Zichun's escape route. What happened next, the crowd couldn't see. Because in the image, they started to fight. The crystal ball seemed to be unable to withstand this power and didn't continue to manifest. Therefore, the crowd only saw Leo's arrogance and didn't see Zichun killing the others. Fake. This is fake. Everyone, don't believe it. This is all pieced together. Leo still wanted to make a final struggle. Bastard. I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Ogiest kicked out. Leo, whose face was completely pale, coughed up blood and flew backward. Lord, I didn't expect to raise such a bastard. Please punish me. Ogiest cupped his fists and knelt. At this point, it was useless to quibble anymore. Everything that happened before was obviously Zichun's scheme. Now, when the evidence was taken out, everything that Leo said before was obviously just a quibble, including that oath. Lord's speed of admitting your mistake is really fast. However, there is something I don't understand. He is just a trial taker. How could he gather so many people to deal with me? Does he really have some unique ability? Zichun looked at Ogiest. Chapter 53:27. What do you mean? Ogiest stared at Zichun. Zichun smiled faintly. Nothing. I'm just asking out of curiosity. Sir, you just said that Leonard is pure and kind. What do you think now? You. Ogiest glared at Zichun. Zichun, on the other hand, was looking at the outsiders today. Since he was here to preside over the situation, it was naturally up to him to punish Leonard. The others were also watching and waiting. The outsider was frowning and hesitating. He actually hesitated for such an obvious matter. Ogiest, this happened within your jurisdiction. You have an unshirkable responsibility. After a moment, the outsider finally spoke. Ogiest nodded and said, I'm willing to accept the punishment. The outsider said, Fine, you'll be fined a year's salary. Yes, sir. Zichun's expression changed slightly. This punishment was out of his expectations. Then, the outsider said, As for Leonard, sir, that's fake. Fake. Leonard was still mumbling, but he obviously had no confidence. Go back and reflect on what the rules of Dharmasol are. Leonard was stunned, as if he couldn't believe his ears. This was the punishment? The surroundings were in an uproar. The punishment for Ogiest was barely acceptable. After all, he didn't participate in it from the beginning to the end. At most, he was protecting Leonard. But now, to Leonard, the instigator, he was only asked to go back and reflect. This was a huge calamity, ignoring the rules and being lawless. If it were anyone else, they would have died hundreds of times. But Luaneo had only said a word of self-reflection. Leonard reacted and quickly cupped his fists to thank the outsider. I will definitely reflect and won't disappoint you, sir. Sir, he committed such a big crime. Why is he only reflecting? Zichun said with dissatisfaction. Could it be that in your eyes, after violating Dharmasol's rules, it's fine as long as he reflects? The outsider glanced at Zichun. Don't be anxious. There's still your punishment. My punishment? Zichun was stunned. Did you get the wrong person? Impudent. The other party was furious. You killed hundreds of people. How could I be wrong? Zichun was dumbfounded. He had taken out the evidence. I know what you want to say. You want to say that you were forced to kill, right? The other party sneered. But since you have the ability to kill them, you naturally have the ability to escape. Why didn't you escape on your own? Zichun was exasperated. The ancient talisman has sealed heaven and earth. How can I leave? I tried to leave, but Luanao and the others wanted to kill me and wouldn't let me go. The other party said aggressively, then why didn't you run? With your ability, you naturally have the strength to break through and leave. Zichun said, they surrounded me. How could I run away? Once I escape, they will definitely pursue me. At that time, I won't have any room to fight back. Besides, I'm in the trial and haven't offended anyone. If they want to kill me, why should I run? You're still quibbling? You could run, but you didn't. Naturally, you wanted to kill them. The other party snorted coldly. You call this not guilty? Zichun felt that his worldview had been refreshed. They wanted to kill me, but I didn't run. Instead, I killed them. Is this a crime in your eyes? Zichun pointed at Luanao and said, he ignored the gathering of Dharma souls and wantonly gathered people to kill his companions. Yet, you only asked him to reflect. He threw Dharma soul's face to the ground and stepped on it. You pretended not to see it, and now you want to convict me? Even if you have double standards, can you not be so obvious? There are so many people watching. Aren't you afraid that they will spread the news of Dharma soul's conduct? Impudent. You still dare to threaten me? The other party's eyes flashed with killing intent. Today, I, Lucent, hereby announce that Zichun ignored Dharma soul's rules and willfully killed the innocent. He will be executed immediately. The other party gave the order. Execute your mom. Zichun was completely enraged. This lousy place is filled with trash like you. I'm not going to serve you anymore. Damn it. He threw Dharma soul's face to the ground and stepped on it. Yet, you put on airs in front of me to protect Dharma soul's dignity. I'm not going to play with you anymore. From now on, I'm leaving Dharma soul. I'm not going to stay in this lousy place anymore. You want to leave? Do you think it's possible? The other party's figure flashed, and he went straight for Zichun. Zichun's eyes flashed with a hint of madness. At this moment, he did not mind letting the path sword appear. This piece of shit must die. However, before the other party could get close, a palm appeared out of thin air. Smack! Lucent was sent flying backward, and a few teeth were mixed in the process. The hunchbacked old man from back then suddenly appeared. Foul air, a nest of snakes and rats. After the old man appeared, his face was very pale. You haven't left yet? After Lucent saw the old man, his face changed drastically. You can't tell right from wrong. Letting a piece of trash like you live is simply an insult to Dharma soul. The old man attacked again. A palm print descended from the sky and slammed toward Lucent. Smack! Smack! The sound of the slap continued. Lucent screamed as the bones in his body shattered one by one. As powerful as he was, he did not have the slightest strength to fight back in front of the energy palm. In the end, a slap landed, and Lucent was sent flying out of the city. Get lost. Tell your manager to come and see me. See what the current Dharma Soul Alliance has become. Lucent turned into a stream of light and left. As for the others, they did not even dare to breathe loudly. The old man looked at Ogiest. 1 year of salary forfeit. Then he looked at Leonard. Go back and reflect on yourself. A hint of disdain appeared at the corner of his mouth. Even if you want to protect someone, you should at least put on an act, right? Get lost. All of you get lost. The old man was angry. Before the higher-ups come, Armai will temporarily take over the manager's position. Ogiest, get lost and reflect on yourself. As for how to deal with that little bastard, wait for the higher-ups to come and decide. The crowd that had gathered quickly dispersed. During this period, there was a lot of discussion. Disregarding other things, Lucent's actions became the topic of discussion for the next part. There was also the lawless Leonard, who also broadened people's horizons. The old man went deeper. This time, he wanted to personally oversee this place. Zichun also went inside. The assessment was considered to be over, and he was qualified to stay here. Actually, Zichun wanted to leave, but Armai asked him to stay. As for the reason, it was actually very simple. The next day, someone came to count the points. Zichun only got a few dozen points, but he was definitely first. This made Zichun very surprised. During the period when Armai temporarily took over, it was enough to give Zichun a breakthrough pill. After all, the old man was still here, and no one dared to bend the law. However, someone suggested to open the training ground again. After all, the time last time was too short. Armai only said one sentence. Don't tell me you think there are too few deaths? If there are more deaths, who can bear the responsibility? At this point, everyone dispelled this idea. Thus, Zichun was able to obtain the breakthrough pill in advance. After giving Zichun the pill, Armai went to the old man's residence. After entering the room, the two didn't speak. After a while, Armai said, "It seems that they are determined to control this place and won't allow any wills to exist." The old man said, "How's Zichun doing?" Armai said, "He still wants to leave." The old man said, "Give him the identity of a free spirit." Armai looked at the old man. After so many years, the Alliance's desire to control has become stronger and stronger. With this incident, it will be very difficult for Zichun to get some resources from here in the future. Instead of this, it's better to let him keep his identity and go out on his own. Okay. A few days later, another person came. This was an old man. He wore a plain hemp robe and walked in through the front door. He first looked up at the sky, and the hidden array patterns appeared one by one in his eyes. He really woke up. Not bad, not bad. The old man praised with a smile. Then he looked at the bustling city and nodded repeatedly. However, when he heard some discussions along the way, he frowned slightly and seemed a little displeased. This is really not right. The old man in hemp robes went deeper. The hunchbacked old man was already waiting for him. The old man in hemp robes saluted him. "Greetings, senior." The old man waved his hand. "I didn't expect it to be you." The old man in hemp robes smiled bitterly. Lucent went back and told everyone what happened. When everyone heard that senior was here, they didn't dare to come, so I had to come. What do you mean? Seeing that the old man didn't want to invite him in, the old man in hemp robes waved his hand and isolated a space. The Alliance has ordered that all branches must have absolute control. So even if the spirit awakens, we can't break this rule. The old man said, "If you want, the spirit can continue to sleep. If not, we will help it sleep." Although the words were plain, they carried the Alliance's will that couldn't be disobeyed. That was absolute control. The old man said, "I don't care about the spirit. I only want to ask you how to deal with this matter." The old man said, "Ogiest will be dismissed immediately. As for Lual, since his family has contributed a lot to the Alliance, he can be spared the death penalty, but he can't escape punishment. He will be stripped of his reserve status and expelled from the Alliance." That's it? Of course, Zichun has been wronged. The Alliance will give some compensation. The old man in hemp robes took out a pill. That's it? The old man asked again. The old man said, "Zichun can also go to the treasury and choose something." The old man took the pill and approved of their method. "Senior, will you go back with me this time?" The old man in hemp robes asked. "No, I don't have the right to go back. No, it's been so many years. Everyone misses Senior. You want me to die outside, right?" The old man didn't want to continue this topic and said directly, "Zichun won't cause trouble for you. After taking the things, he will leave. As for you people, you can do whatever you want." The old man in hemp robes nodded and then said hesitantly, "Senior, the things in the treasury must have the right strength." The old man said disdainfully, "What? Are you afraid that I will help you cheat? I'm not Ogiest. Even if I use the resources privately, Lual will still be an idiot." Of course, of course. With this, the old man in hemp robes was relieved. Although he hadn't been here before, he knew that there were many good things in the treasury. Even a heavenly law would be envious of these things. The old man in hemp robes didn't leave immediately. He wanted to see Zichun enter the treasury. After that, he had to reorganize the place. All Might took the pill and went to find Zichun. In this way, Zichun would have 2 breakthrough pills. Once he reached the 9th level of annihilation, he could attempt to advance to heavenly law. After that, All Might brought Zichun to the entrance of the treasury. You can choose one of the things inside, but the prerequisite is that you can break the seal. Chapter 53:28. When All Might said this, many people beside him were also listening. They were all the people in charge of this place. At this moment, they all appeared and opened the restrictions of the treasure vault according to the orders of the higher-ups. Zichun nodded and walked in. What entered his eyes were colorful lights, glittering like treasures. This was the foundation of the Magic Soul Alliance. Zichun's gaze quickly swept over and discovered that every item here actually had a seal on it. However, these seals were nothing in front of Zichun. Zichun glanced around and went straight to the 2nd floor. There were a total of 4 floors in the treasure vault, and all the good things were on the upper floors. Zichun didn't stay on the 2nd floor for too long and went straight to the 3rd floor. Even though the items here were sealed, he could still feel the powerful aura. After a quick glance, Zichun saw the ancient talisman. He was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that there would be such good things on this floor. He went to the 4th floor again. He was looking forward to what was on this floor. As soon as he arrived on this floor, Zichun saw the World Annihilation Bell. Even though it was a replica, its aura was still shocking. And there were 2 such replicas on this floor. In addition, there was a set of armor, a sharp saber, and a rectangular jade box with a seal. He didn't know what was inside. There were only a dozen items. Zichun's first target was the World Annihilation Bell. As he approached, he felt a wave of pressure sweeping over. Zichun's expression changed slightly. He felt the pressure before he even got close. What would happen if he got closer? Buzz. Zichun used his own power and activated his powerful true body. He resisted the pressure and moved forward. The nearby seals also burst out with a dazzling light. At this moment, the people outside didn't retreat. When they saw the light on the 4th floor, they were all stunned. Then, one of them laughed and said, "A spell destroyer can only take away the items on the 2nd floor at most." He actually went to the 4th floor. Interesting. How is this interesting? It's clearly greed. A man's greed is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. That's right. If the seal recoils, even if he doesn't die, he will be seriously injured. Not to mention the 2nd floor, we might not even be able to open the 1st floor's seal. Everyone mocked and ridiculed, but with All Might here, they all restrained themselves. Worry appeared on All Might's face. Zichun was knocked back by the seal, and this was only because he was close to it. He hadn't even tried to open it yet. No. Zichun shook his head. He didn't need to try to know that it was impossible to break the seal and take away the replica. This had nothing to do with one's attainments and arrays. It was only related to one's strength. The seal was not intricate and required pure strength and power, which was what Zichun currently lacked. When he looked elsewhere, it was almost the same. Are we going to the 3rd floor? Zichun was a little reluctant. After all, he could only come here once. It would be impossible for him to come here again in the future. When there was only one chance, it was only natural to take the best. After some hesitation, Zichun took out the World Annihilation Bell to see if he could forcefully break the seal. If it really didn't work, he would take out his Dao sword and try it out. However, if he did that, it would cause a big commotion. It wouldn't be good if it caused more trouble. Just as Zichun was thinking about whether to forcefully activate the World Annihilation Bell, he saw the World Annihilation Bell vibrate slightly. Buzz. There was no sound of the bell, only ripples were created. The golden light wasn't so dazzling. The ripples went straight ahead. When it got close, it was blocked by the seal. However, a strong collision didn't happen. The World Annihilation Bell's ripples actually slowly passed through the seal. Zichun's eyes widened bit by bit, and his eyes were filled with shock. The ripples passed through the seal with some difficulty and landed on the replica. In the next moment, there seemed to be a passage connecting the 2 sides. The power of the replica flowed through the passage and was absorbed by the real thing. This works too. Zichun was completely stunned. He blinked his eyes. After confirming that this wasn't a dream, a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. This was definitely a blessing from the heavens. Last time, The World Annihilation Bell swallowed the replica and its power increased a lot. Now, there were two replicas here. Once they were both swallowed by the World Annihilation Bell, how strong would the World Annihilation Bell become? However, after the ecstasy, Zichun felt a hint of fear in his heart. What if someone came up at this moment and saw this scene? Such a strange scene made one wonder what grade of World Annihilation Bell Zichun had. He nervously glanced at the stairs. Fortunately, no one appeared. But what if someone came later? Zichun felt a little uneasy. His gaze began to wander around, thinking of a solution in his mind. It was too abnormal that this place was so quiet. Therefore, he had to make some noise. He released his soul power and sensed those seals. He found that each of them was very powerful, especially where the two World Annihilation Bells were. The seals were extremely terrifying. That sword seems to be weaker. Zichun's gaze fell on that sword. It looked ordinary. There were no patterns on it, and it didn't emit any light. It was like an ordinary stone sword that was polished from an ordinary stone. But for it to be placed in this place, it was obviously not ordinary. The World Annihilation Bell didn't need to be controlled and could automatically swallow the replica's power. Zichun, on the other hand, walked towards the stone sword. When they were still 30 feet apart, the seal around the stone sword released a pressure. It's indeed weaker than the replica. Zichun immediately activated his power and moved forward against the pressure. The seal's power was increasing, but it was within the range that Zichun could withstand. Using the power of the 8th stage realm, Zichun finally walked to the seal. He punched out. Boom! A huge tremor was heard, and a strong repulsion force was felt. Zichun's body was pushed back. When the people outside heard the commotion inside, they all started laughing loudly. 4th level. He really dared to make a move? Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. What kind of joke is this? This is called overestimating oneself, all right? In the 4th level, continuous rumbling sounds were heard. Everyone's mocking laughter continued. All Mai listened by the side and felt embarrassed. Those mocking laughter were directed at Zichun, but it was also directed at All Mai. All Mai said, "Why don't I go inside and persuade him?" "No need. Don't persuade him." Someone immediately said, "That's right. It's good for young people to have some drive. What's there to persuade? If he's tired, he'll naturally rest." Haha. The others started to speak out and didn't want All Mai to persuade him. Naturally, they wanted to continue watching the show. Zichun was pushed back again and again. His expression gradually became serious. "I don't believe it." Golden light shone around him, and a strong aura flowed out. This time, he decided to use his strongest power. Immortal Punch. Like a glaring golden sun, it exploded in front of him. Accompanied by a huge tremor, the seal started to distort. However, there was also a strong rebounding force that landed on Zichun's body. Zichun was immediately sent flying. Not bad, not bad. His endurance is still okay. This drive, many young people can't compare to him. I just don't know if he vomited blood. Everyone laughed outside the treasure vault. On the 4th floor, Zichun stood up. He glanced to the side. The real one was still devouring the imitation. He didn't know if it was because of the seal, but the speed was not fast. Zichun needed to buy some time. As for himself, he originally thought that he could just casually pick one. But after a few attempts, Zichun found that this sword was not impossible to take away. The slaughter spirit appeared, then turned into a stream of light and flew forward. It also caused quite a commotion. At the same time, Zichun stood in the distance and released his soul power. He wanted to carefully sense the seal and see if he could use some ingenious method to open it. Compared to the other seals, the one in front of him was the weakest. Perhaps the things inside were also the worst. But for Zichun's current level, the things here were all treasures in his eyes. He found a weak area, but he might not be able to break it. Zichun controlled the slaughter spirit to move forward, but he couldn't get close at all. During this time, he used the immortal punch again, but it was still useless. Zichun frowned. If he wanted to try again, he had to take out the path sword. This was a very big risk. He spread out his soul power and carefully probed the surroundings, but he still didn't find any traces of others. Let's go all out. Zichun gritted his teeth and prepared to give it a try. He took out the path sword. However, before Zichun could unleash the power of the Dao sword, the simple and unadorned stone sword seemed to be suddenly activated. Swish! A light lit up on it and directly passed through the seal, arriving in front of Zichun. Pa! The seal was broken. Zichun subconsciously held the stone sword, only to see that the originally simple sword body suddenly appeared with patterns. These were all divine inscriptions. The simple stone sword also began to erupt with a powerful aura as these divine inscriptions appeared. Zichun was worried that it would cause trouble, so he immediately put away the path sword. Swish! As the path sword disappeared, the light on the stone sword gradually dimmed, and the powerful aura was also instantly restrained. Soon, the previous scene was restored. Zichun was stunned. Could this stone sword be related to the path sword in some way? Unfortunately, Zichun didn't have the time to explore carefully. He had already taken the item. If he continued to stay here, he would definitely be suspicious. Moreover, it had been a long time since he came in. If someone came to investigate, it would be troublesome. Zichun reluctantly recalled the World Annihilation Bell. As he put away the World Annihilation Bell, everything in front of him returned to normal. The replica World Annihilation Bell was still dazzling, but if one sensed it carefully, they would find that it had lost a lot of its origin power. Zichun took the stone sword and walked out of the treasure vault. The laughter all stopped. Everyone looked at Zichun in shock. They didn't expect that he really took something from the fourth floor. But after seeing the thing in Zichun's hand, their expressions became strange again. Zichun raised the stone sword and smiled at Almai, saying, "Fortunately, I didn't disappoint you. It would have been better if you didn't say that." As soon as Zichun said that, the surrounding people immediately burst into laughter. Even Almai's expression became extremely strange. He wanted to laugh, but he didn't dare to. He could only hold it in. As for the others, they were laughing unscrupulously. I didn't expect that there would really be a fool who went to the fourth floor to take a piece of trash. This sentence was heard amidst the laughter. This made Zichun's expression become strange.